Well, I must admit the alarm did come a little bit louder than usual here on this Monday morning for myself, but I am very, very happy to be back. Good Monday morning to everybody out there. Thank you for starting your week off with us. When I say us, it'll be this trio for the next 2 weeks. That is myself, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton. Pretty much all of next week, we will call Grand Park home. We will be out there for 4 of the 5 days as 1 week from today, Colts players will be traveling back to the Circle City, and report day for training camp is a week from Tuesday. But as we sit here on this Monday morning, there is a lot to get to on the hardwood, certainly a little bit from a football standpoint, and I guess we do have a home run derby tonight here in Major League Baseball. Gentlemen, good to be back, and good morning to you.
I'm glad you're back. I thought you were on the run. I think that's what I was saying on the show for a while there, Mark, and I was thinking, I don't know if my boy has got some, issues with the law, but I hope he can outrun the law and get back to us.
Yeah, the old debate of vacation was, do you have the beer starting at noon or 1? I don't think that'll be on the agenda necessarily today, as I itch about 13 more bug bites that are all over my body. But yeah, family reunion up in northern Michigan with my in-laws. Big old crew. It's actually a very impressive every other year family reunion, about 50 of us up there. So we had a great time. Kids absolutely loved it, but I'm a man of routine. So I will say I was looking forward to this Monday morning. I don't know if that makes me sick or not, but I enjoyed chatting with you guys. I enjoyed chatting with our audience.
I just think it's funny that's the first time I knew what you were actually doing on your vacation. And I feel like they're always like, my mom always says this, my sister, like, man, men never ask their other male friends like what they're up to. And I'm like, no, I think that he's happy. He seems happy. So I just let it be.
My mom, we have an annual golf outing that we go to every single year, and like my mom thinks it's like, it is a boys club because it's my uncles, my cousins, and all of us doing this thing. And every year after the thing, she's always like, so what you guys like, what's so and so up to, what's this? I'm like, I don't know. And she drives her up. What do you guys talk about? What are you guys talking about? I'm like, we're doing guy stuff. We're not, hey,
I don't think us three could be more in unison on something. Like, I can hear Maddie right now, if she is awake, just absolutely yelling right now at her radio. Like, Kevin never asks enough questions.
Yeah. She's like, are they trying for a second baby? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even know they had a first baby. She's like, oh, okay.
Yep. There you go.
It drives her insane, and I actually love it.
We'll have some questions to Tony East coming up at 9 o'clock. He is back from Vegas. He was front and center for the Myles Turner press conference on Friday out there. I believe he caught up with Rick Carlisle as well. So always enjoy our chats with Tony. He's going to join us coming up at 9 o'clock. We do have to get to some Turner audio, I thought, because that happened right after you guys ended on Friday, right? The Turner press conference, a little bit later in the day, if I'm not mistaken.
It was like a Friday news dump, basically, and I was thinking to myself, brother, if you think I'm about to be working this late. So shout out to Tony East because it was not as late out there in Vegas. Also got some Isaiah Jackson news as well. So it was a pretty newsy and kind of exciting weekend, I think, overall, not only just for the Pacers, for the Fever as well.
If you don't mind, I do want to hit a little bit of the Kevin Pritchard stuff from last week. I know it's a little bit of a, hey, you kind of missed the news cycle with that, but I do think there are a couple comments that I got some thoughts on in relation to hearing from him really for the first time in quite some time about the Pacers. They will have a Summer League game today, 6 o'clock against the Bulls. I want to say it's ESPNU, so if you haven't seen Johnny Furphy, Cam Jones, and company just yet here in the Summer League, you can do that. As James Boyd said, the Fever with an offensive explosion in the second quarter yesterday. I believe that is their highest first half point total, 64 that is, in franchise history.
Any half.
For this team. Any half.
Yep.
For that franchise. So quite impressive. If you haven't been downtown in a while, my hand is raised. It is littered with plenty of WNBA, I guess, ad endorsements. Asia Wilson greeted me right when I turned onto Washington Street there. So plenty of WNBA All-Star stuff going up around downtown. That schedule bumps up a day. You're used to the NBA cycle where Saturday night's kind of their event night and then Sunday's the game. It'll be Friday, Saturday for the WNBA coming up this week here in Indianapolis. Tuesday and Wednesday, the Fever will have their final games. Nothing says a Fever road schedule like playing 2 games this week on the road, and both of them are in NBA arenas. So they'll be at TD Garden against the Sun on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, the Barclays Center against the Liberty. But very impressive in that second quarter, especially yesterday, James. And If you wanted to get into the Caitlin Clark, I guess where she's at since the injury, I'm frequently reminded with her game, James, her greatest skill is a passer. And I thought yesterday was another example of that. Yes, she can volleyball line it, and she's a great, typically is a great shooter. Right now, she's not shooting it very well. But her greatest skill is her ability to quarterback it and throw pinpoint in stride passes. No better example of it than yesterday, the one to Sophie Cunningham there to start a fast break.
Yeah, that was what we called the touchdown pass from press row yesterday. And there were a lot of, just insane passes that really take a lot of guts to throw to begin with. And that's what always kind of amazes me about Caitlin is like, maybe that's why some of the turnover numbers are higher than they need to be at times, but she's very daring in her passing ability, and she's very willing to give her teammates a chance to score in unique ways. So I thought that, she had a, memorable game. I think it's the 19th double-double of her career, 13 assists, and really she didn't play all that much in the second half. They kind of got up by a lot. And so the shooting still hasn't really come for her, but bottom line is if you can affect the game in other ways, you can still be a very valuable player in this league. I did get a kick out of her blocking wings guard JJ Quinterly's layup, and then she stared her down and yelled at her and said some things that she probably won't repeat to us, and that's what preceded the touchdown pass to Sophie Cunningham. And then when they called timeout, she's barking and clapping towards their bench, and I was like, oh, Caitlin, this is why they hate you. It's why they voted you 9th in the All-Star, rankings or whatever. But I enjoy that she brings that edge every night.
Yeah, emotion is always on display from Caitlin Clark on the floor. Sometimes you could probably debate how much emotion should be there for her. But nonetheless, you do get that from her. Fever have 2 more again before the All-Star break coming up this weekend. As we said to lead off the show, really a week from today, you'll get Colts players starting to get back into the Circle City. Report day Friday. They'll practice a whole lot next week at Grand Park. They'll go Wednesday through Saturday. They'll go 4 straight days. Morning practices Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday afternoon, maybe early evening. I forget the start time exactly on that. But it is about to be here for the NFL, and I do think we need to start giving a little bit more clock to the old Colts here in these 3-hour shows here. So maybe today we'll throw some indispensable Colts your way. I always enjoy, James, this part of the offseason and kind of looking at the roster, which, my list this year for an indispensable Colt list is looking different than normal. I have a guy that's never been on the Indianapolis Colts in that top 5 group, but we're starting to get closer to the start of what is undoubtedly an extremely, extremely critical season for the most important pillars of your franchise, and that would be your quarterback, that would be your head coach, and that would be your GM.
Yeah, and how much time do all 3 of those people have when it comes to their tenures in Indianapolis? Carly Ursay-Gordon, the eldest of the Ursay daughters, made it very clear when they took over the team after their father's death that is not a gap year for mourning. This is not a gap year to sort of get your emotions together. She told us flat out, Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, no, they haven't been good enough, and our standards need to be raised. Or we need to get back to where we were when we were in the upper quartile. Now, she didn't say upper quartile like her dad did, but that was my interpretation. And so that, to me, is the overarching theme of the season is, okay, how much pressure is everyone feeling, and how safe is anybody? Because I don't think anybody is safe when it comes to the top players and top, when I say players, I mean the QB, coach, GM. I don't think anybody's safe in that regard.
Honestly, when I first realized the Home Run Derby was tonight, I thought back to the first week of Major League Baseball this year, and I thought, whatever happened to the torpedo bats? Are those things dead?
No, they're still there.
That was such a big topic.
They're still prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a thing. Do we get them tonight? Are all of them using torpedo bats in the Home Run Derby?
I don't know if they all are. I think they're. I don't even know I haven't heard any rules or restrictions that say you can't use them.
The question is, do you swing with that if you swung with a different bat all year? Will it throw off the swing at all, or are you just?
That is a very fair point here. Cal Raleigh, who has had an incredible start to this season here for the Mariners, he is your favorite tonight. We don't get Pete Alonso bench pressing this year.
No.
Boy, I'm going to miss that. That used to be an annual tradition of the old Home Run Derby here.
Yeah, they kind of threw it against the wall this year as far as participants. They had to get 8, and they were struggling there at 5 for I feel like forever, and now all of a sudden they've got 8. So
locally, O'Neal Cruz. Certainly, that will be a name that if you frequent over to Indianapolis Indians, you have seen him play. And he actually is up there from an odds standpoint here. I always love kind of the home park. I know Acuna Jr., I think at one point was supposed to be in it, but Matt Olson will be the home rep. Atlanta for MLB All-Star here. Again, Home Run Derby tonight. They will play the All-Star game coming up tomorrow down there. What did I miss, boys? Anything I missed? I just logged into my email, and I was glad my password still worked because I got about 13 emails about needing to change my password.
Oh, well, you need to change it again, too, apparently. I've changed it 3 times in 2 weeks. Yeah, keep changing it. We keep kicking the can down the road. I'm like, for God's sake.
I'm running out of all my best passwords.
I thought I had some good ones. Now I'm like, now I got to really dig into the back pocket and try to
I got
think of
nothing
another
left.
good one. I know. Like, stop
running out of my best passwords.
Stop
Hilarious.
setting these deadlines and kicking them down the road.
Gosh.
I can't do this anymore.
I got nothing left. And the other thing, too, I was reminded of this when I was trying to put on some clothes here on this Monday. It's just unbelievable how much weight I can put on in 1 week of a vacation.
So Cal Raleigh's not the only one called Big Dumper. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's probably a very, very fair statement.
Well, I mean, you got to enjoy yourself, Kevin. So give yourself some grace,
Yeah.
man. No one's counting calories during family reunions.
Gosh,
Of course,
man.
okay?
4th of July was like 10 days ago. Then you had family vacation. You're
Yeah.
okay.
And if you were, getting your Joey Chestnut on, I would understand.
I could not. Have we tried to reach out to him, Mark? We need to
I
get
reached
him on
out.
the
I've
show.
not heard back. I hope I still have his phone number. It's what it's listed at is Joey Chestnut in the phone book.
We had him in studio at one point, did we
Have
not?
you tried calling GOAT, capital J,
Mm-hmm.
O-A-T?
I have not yet. I might need to go to that route. I knew he was probably a better guest to have on when you're back than when Jeff was, because Jeff was just like scolding him, like, how many calories are you eating right now?
He was not a fan.
I mean, the broadcast, I was on the edge of my seat, of course. It looked, for a while there like he was going to potentially break the record. But, yes, once again, the GOAT lives in Joseph Chestnut. A ton to get to here on this Monday morning. It's not your typical July 14th in a non-MLB town. We do have plenty to react to. We will play some of that Myles Turner audio. I thought something that stood out, I know, to James was not only the press conference audio, but also what Turner then said the day after. He hopped on the Bucks Summer League broadcast and, got an opportunity after 24 hours to reword any of the statements that he wanted to make.
And he reworded. Yes,
and he
did.
definitely had some comments on that. So we will hit that, what is left for the Pacers here in the offseason, what's left for them out in Summer League, and begin our countdown to Colts training camp coming up in Grand Park starting next week. Like I said, it's us 3 for the next 2 weeks. Jeff over in France. Not sure if he's cycling per se in the Tour de France, but I believe he brought his bike over there and is taking part in some viewing experiences over there with the fam. So you got Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton right here on the Fan Morning Show for the next 10 days. Thanks for starting this week with us. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Man that was at and asking Myles Turner some questions during his Bucks introductory press conference, that would be Tony East. He's going to join us coming up here at 9 o'clock. We'll play some of that audio for you. But James Boyd, let's begin with the Pacers out in Vegas, 2 games down. Honestly, the Thunder kind of blew them off the floor over the weekend. They'll play tonight, 6 o'clock against the Chicago Bulls. That will be game 3 of 4. Do you care about anything related to Pacers Summer League?
Yeah, I have enjoyed seeing Taylor Peter show some skills in the Summer League.
He's been pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I think there's athleticism is showed. His shot making is showed as well. I want to see a little bit more from Cam Jones, I think, from a shot making standpoint and playmaking standpoint. But also in Johnny Furphy, I think Johnny Furphy has looked at times like a second-year player should in an exhibition game, essentially. So he looks pretty, just comfortable in an NBA setting. And like we've said, I said this all last week, really. If he's able to hit, which is a big if, I get he's a second-round pick, but he has all the stuff you want in a big wing in today's NBA. He can jump, he can shoot it in theory, 6'8", he's got good length. So if that guy hits, he could be a player.
Yeah, and does he challenge for kind of a back end of that second unit spot next season? I know the jumper wasn't really falling for him over the weekend, but I thought he actually showed a little bit more, which has impressed me as a driver and kind of an off-the-ball little bit of a play finisher, if you will, for you. So again, 6 o'clock tonight with the Bulls. That's ESPNU. They'll take on the Knicks later this week. Pacers Summer League here, week 2. Yesterday in the W, it was the Indiana Fever with one of the more impressive halves they have had offensively in the history of their franchise. They run away from the Dallas Wings with now 2 in a row, bouncing back from that loss to the Sparks. Pretty balanced from their starters, and really it was the high level of efficiency, James, from Natasha Howard, Kelsey Mitchell, Analia Boston. They combined to go 23 of 29 from the floor. Caitlin Clark with 13 assists and just 2 turnovers. So while the jumper of Caitlin Clark continues to struggle a bit here in her return, her point guard playmaking as a passer was on full display yesterday.
Yeah, she's one of the best playmakers in the league. And to your point earlier about her passing being better than her shooting, that is a fact. And I think sometimes we take for granted how great of a passer she is because it's the shot making that typically will draw you in. But I think that she's less like Steph Curry than people think. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, where I think Steph is very much a score-first player, and he should be because he's the greatest shooter to ever walk this earth. But she, to me, her best skill is her passing, and it does set up a lot of other things. And it really helps in moments like this where she hasn't shot it very well to be able to still affect the game in positive ways, give her teammates easy looks. And honestly, Sophie Cunningham and others have to be, giddy that she's probably feeling a little bit better. Like, I think her burst of the dribble has been better the last few games, and it leads to a lot of easy buckets if you're just willing to run.
Yeah, they had 64 in the first half, as James said, most ever for the franchise, and then 30 assists was also a franchise record for a regulation game. That's what the Fever did yesterday, 102-83 over Dallas. They'll have 2 more before the All-Star break. It'll be at Connecticut on Tuesday, a back-to-back at New York then on Wednesday. A doubleheader over in Iowa. The crowd is absolutely pathetic there for IndyCar on that short oval. You got Pato Ward getting the W on Saturday, and then Alex Palou, no surprise to hear that name, getting it done yesterday. That is his first short oval win. You got a couple short ovals on the IndyCar schedule. His first short oval win of his already very decorated career. Joseph Newgarden, arguably the best, not one of the best cars all weekend long, but he cannot get it done. Some issues in pit lane yesterday. Listen to that with the great IndyCar Radio Network on the way back from Michigan yesterday afternoon. Very much enjoyed that. Busy month of July continues for IndyCar up in Toronto coming up on Sunday, and then out in Laguna Seca later this month. The only other note I had here, we are now at the midway point of Major League Baseball. Mark Dighton, your Cubs have the second best record in the NL. Is that correct?
Believe so. Took 2 out of 3 against the Yankees over the weekend, so that was good to see. Nice way to finish up the first half of the season, the unofficial first half of the season. But yeah, solid start. Hopefully.
1 up on the Brewers. The Cubs here at the break. Wild card wise here, the Cardinals 2 back, the Reds 2.5 back. From a wild card standpoint,
the Cardinals stink, by the way. You've been out of town. The Cardinals absolutely stink. The Reds should be able to overtake them. They absolutely are terrible.
Gosh, I'm not ready. My heart's not ready.
They're
Monday back from vacation. You can't put that type of
Their
pressure
starting
on my Reds.
pitching is atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Reds, man.
The Reds have some young, talented arms, though. It's time to go time. It's go time, Red Legs. Let's get it happening here.
I don't know how I feel about this Mark
Mine.
Dykton trying to give a Gordon Bombay.
Yeah, I feel
pump-up
like this
speech
is
here to the
this like
Reds.
some bad juju you trying to put on you or something.
I think I
No.
want Jeff back.
Oh.
Well,
Oh,
I
those
mean,
are-
I'll gladly, if he wants to swap,
I was
going to
say, don't tempt Mark with a trip overseas now. He
Yeah.
might not come back for real.
Indianapolis Indians off this week. They did take 5 of 6 from Gwinnett here over the past week and weekend. Their next home game coming up July 22nd. Reminder, Home Run Derby is tonight. Mark Dykton, are you betting on anybody? Run Derby
No,
tonight?
I would actually have to look and see who else is also
Well, the
participating in
odds
this
really
thing.
drop off. You have the big three, Cal Raleigh, of course, O'Neal Cruz, we talked about, the local action there. And then what's the kid from the Nationals, James Wood?
James Wood,
Those are your three kind of big favorites, and then it drops. So, I mean, if you're willing to, get away from that top three, you can actually get some decent return on value with some of the others tonight. But mid-July, Monday, that is Home Run Derby from Atlanta coming up tonight, and we'll have the All-Star game coming up on Tuesday. All right, on the other side, before we get to, of course, the Colts, and who do you label as indispensable here for the 2025 season, we'll play some of that Myles Turner audio, not just the press conference stuff. Turner did appear on one of the Bucs Summer League games over the weekend, had a chance to maybe reword any of his comments, and he chose to handle it in a very interesting manner. We'll play that coming up on the other side. It's us three coming up the next 2 weeks. That would be Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton. Thanks for starting off your week with us right here on the Fan Morning Show. All right, we're back here on a Monday. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton, Tony East going to join us at 9 o'clock. We will certainly play some of the Myles Turner audio, not just press conference. He had a chance to, sit on those words for about 24 hours and see if he wanted to change his mind at all. And he joined the Bucks Summer League broadcast. We'll play that audio coming up here in a bit. One of the more popular games, I told you guys I was at a family reunion, 50 of us. One of the more popular games, my nephew and one of his other little, I don't know, probably his second cousin, I don't even know how the family tree works. They are obsessed with the Pacers. So they come up to me, Uncle Bowen, can you play the Pacer player game with me? I'm thinking of a Pacer player. And, then we had a guess, back and forth. Drop a hint here, drop a hint there. So we got down a rabbit hole one of these days, and I came across TJ McConnell. Back. Sounds like he'll be the backup point guard. I mean, I think at this point, are we done with the Pacers offseason? Right? From a substantial move?
I would think so. I think they have like 15 players technically, like on standard-ish contracts. And so, yeah, I don't expect any other big moves.
Barring a surprise, they're done.
Okay. So, yeah, and we'll obviously outside of Tony's coming up here. So, TJ McConnell has played 392 games with the Pacers. If he plays every game next season, he would be 13th in all-time games played for the Indiana Pacers. He'd be above the likes of Paul George, Derek McKee, Mark Jackson, Jalen Rose, Antonio Davis. I was stunned by that. You're telling me TJ McConnell is all of a sudden going to be a top, and I mean, that's just next year. If he plays another season, he could crack like top 10 on that list. Does that surprise you, or is that just me, 2.5 IPAs deep on vacation being like, oh, man, that's shocking to me?
So wait a minute. So your nephews are asking you questions, and you talk about TJ McConnell, and then you go down a TJ McConnell rabbit hole, and you're like looking at your phone to see where he's the longest tenured Pacer.
I'm on stat memes.
And that's why Maddie's yelling at you, because she's like, we're at a family reunion, you're on your phone digging deep on TJ McConnell, how many games played he's
I think
had.
Kevin,
Max Bowen's 10 feet in the water without his swimmies on. It's like, will you go attend to him?
Buddy!
No, I think Kevin was giving, his nephew some good old tradition.
If I walked up to a random Pacer fan on the street and said, do you think Jalen Rose or TJ McConnell have played more games as a Pacer? You think they would say TJ McConnell?
I absolutely would not. Just because of the finals run
Even
that they
Paul
went
George.
on.
I mean, Paul George was a Pacer for a long time.
Yeah. But honestly, TJ's been here a long time. Like, he was here pre-rebuild.
Is he the longest tenured Pacer now that Myles
I believe
is gone?
so, yes.
He is.
Which also is
He has to
mind-blowing
be.
to me. Because I just don't fit that with him. In my mind, like I said, I think that Tyrese Halliburton was drafted here. So even though he wasn't, it feels like that. So you say, yeah, TJ the longest tenured Pacer. Yeah, and he didn't start his career here either. He's an undrafted guy and then spent some years in Philly and has kind of really, I think, made a name for himself here probably more than anywhere else as far as his impact in real games. I mean, he's become one of the better backup point guards in all the NBA.
I really don't want to rehash the Turner debate because I know you guys did it late last week, and I don't really want to continue to do it throughout the week. But Myles Turner did create a new news cycle. I think that is worth mentioning.
Well, yeah, when you talk on a Friday at 5 o'clock.
Right. So he has his press conference Friday at 5, and then again Saturday he joined NBA TV or whoever it was. He joined their summer league broadcast of the Bucks and Cavs, which is something we see. Andrew Nemhart actually has been on one of the games here throughout Vegas. For those that don't watch the summer league, players and I'm hoping Chad Buchanan or Kevin Pritchard at some point will join the broadcast when the Pacers play as well. This is a frequent thing that happens. Watching an entire summer league game, it gets a tad boring. So you try to drum up a different news cycle with having players and or coaches, GMs from that team on within the game. So let's begin Friday. At this point, I would like to assume a lot of people have probably heard the Turner comment, but this is the one that went pretty viral. This was relatively early in the press conference here. It wasn't in Myles' opening statement for what it's worth, so I don't think he necessarily walked on the podium ready to say this, but this is the one that has clearly irked a lot of Pacer fans.
But for me, ultimately it was about just staying competitive. 2 years ago, got to Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously last year we got to the finals. But being there, being part of it, winning basketball has just changed my entire perspective on this league. And I saw a chance to remain competitive here. And John and even Doc has assured me that winning is a top priority here, and we just align with our visions.
James, your reaction when you heard that from Myles Turner? Again, that was at his opening press conference late Friday with the Bucks.
Yeah, the chance to remain competitive part has to sting, mainly because you had a teammate give his Achilles, in theory, to try to stay competitive in the biggest game that all of you will likely play in your career. So, I mean, outside of Pascal winning a championship, who else on the team can say that they played or one game away from a championship? So, I know Thomas Bryant technically won a championship as well with the Nuggets, but to me, that's the one that probably stings, or that's the part that stings the most. Is like, dude, we were right there, and you were a big part of that, and now you're saying all of a sudden, basically, you don't want to take that gap year, which I kind of understand, but that to me was kind of my initial reaction, Kevin.
Boy, competitive is such the wrong word to use.
Yeah.
I just think it's such an elementary word to use. If you want to simply
look at their team, who isn't competitive? Like, that's how you got there.
Right. And I just think that is the wrong word choice. If I was betting, strictly a betting man, who's going to win more games next year, the Bucks or the Pacers?
The Bucks.
Right. Like I can live in that world. Now, you play that out over a 4-year cycle of Turner's contract. I'm not necessarily thinking that would be a slam dunk. I really don't think Turner was trying to be as cutthroat as that statement looks on paper. Like, when you write down that quote and you read it, or even if you hear it, it sounds super cutthroat. It sounds like he walked up there with an agenda and he was ready to take a dig at his former team. And, like, if he really wanted to do it, if he really had this feeling, because there is a little bit an element of Turner is like Turner's life as a Pacer basically transpired in a sense of your girlfriend, i.e. the Pacers, literally said to you at one point, hey, I want to leave you for that man over there. And I'm pointing right now in studio, and I'm pointing to DeAndre Ayton. So
yeah.
Myles Turner's girlfriend, the Pacers, said, I want to leave you for that man over there. And DeAndre Ayton literally said, well, if my girlfriend, i.e. the Suns, say no, then I've got to go back to them. And the Suns did that. The problem is like, for me with Turner, it's weird because I've never pegged him as some bully, some villain. I'm sure you guys like dissected his statement last week on the show, when he had that Instagram post.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, when you read that, there's a really feel-good nature to it. There is an appreciation of, like, he's throwing in Long's Donuts, and
Did he mention the right Longs?
He's throwing in potholes. Well, you can get into that.
That was a debate.
He's, talking about the east side of Indianapolis and Kilroy's and, going out to Geist and, all this stuff. Like, if he really wanted to be malicious, if he really wanted to take it a step further, why wouldn't he have said the competitive thing in the statement? Like, I don't.
Because I feel like that was more of like a goodbye. Whereas when you're in the press conference, you're answering questions that are a little more forceful in nature. Like, I don't know if any goodbye letter to a franchise from any player is going to mention, oh, yeah, I left you because I don't think you were going to be competitive enough. Like, I don't know if that's fair, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, there is a little bit of Turner right now has finally gotten to the point where someone is appreciating him at the value that he felt like he deserved to be appreciated at throughout his career. Yeah. And trust me, I want to be very clear. I get why the Pacers treated him in the B- C+ fashion. Myles Turner is a above average NBA player. He's not a great player. But the Bucks swooped in and said, dude, you are a great player. We're going to give you all this money. You're going to come here. You're going to be the sidekick to the best player in the Eastern Conference. All of this stuff. So now Turner's feeling himself. So now Turner's walking a little bit more with a stride. And, maybe in Vegas he's walking like some other people walk out there in Vegas. So, look, the quote clearly had some level of intent. I don't think it's as malicious as it looks. Like, when you read the quote on paper, it sounds like he is just absolutely ready to go bolt and board, material full throttle. But then when he goes on the broadcast the next day, he kind of tries to walk it back a little bit.
Yeah, but I also feel like, man, I feel like the broadcast.
Like he wants to be a villain, but he doesn't really want to be a villain.
Yeah, but I feel like the broadcast the next day was more of his true feelings about the criticism he received, leaving, and things of that nature, because I thought he was a little bit more unbuttoned sitting courtside at Summer League and kind of sharing some of his thoughts.
Mark, go ahead and play it. This is Turner. Again, this would have been 24 hours after the press conference in regards to his words the previous day.
Yeah, I mean, I was damned if I did, damned if I didn't in the situation. That's kind of the way I looked at it. The negotiations in this business, it's just it's a part that the casual fan doesn't get to see. But I will say, definitely, you're going to take whatever storyline you want, with this. And we have this heated rivalry. So no matter what I say, it's going to get twisted into whatever they want it to be to fit the narrative. So, and there was no love lost. When I went through this entire situation, I just went and made the best decision for myself and, for my family moving forward.
There was no love lost. That's the part that stood out to me. I was like, dang, all right. And I also think that to a certain degree, Myles is right from the negotiation standpoint, meaning we likely will never truly know how it all went down. My only counter argument against the Pacers and against the fans who were like, oh my gosh, you should let us match or whatever, there would have been no need to match if you put the money up to begin with. And that's the part where I feel like, to your point, Kevin, if you're always trying to get with the hot girl and she's like kind of giving you attention but kind of not, and the other girl comes along, used the analogy last week, the other girl comes along, maybe she isn't as beautiful or whatever, but hey, I'm attracted to her. She looks pretty good, but she actually likes me. She actually wants me. And to me, that is perhaps how Myles felt, where it's like, I've spent years trying to prove my worth to you, and now this other girl comes along. She seems pretty great. She likes me. She values me. I'm gone.
I don't think the Pacers would have matched. Had Turner gone to the Pacers and said, hey, this is what Milwaukee's offering. Will you match? That was one question. I thought you guys handled the Kevin Pritchard presser very, very well. I wish someone would have asked that in a very direct manner. Would you have matched? I think Bob Kravitz asked at one point, did you get the opportunity to match? And Kevin indicated no, but would the Pacers have matched 27-ish million, whatever it ended up being? I don't think the Pacers would have.
I think it's easier for them to say, too, after the fact, oh, yeah, we,
because that's the card the Pacers are playing. We didn't get the chance to match. Okay, That's fine. That apparently is true. Both sides of the party, I think, are saying that. But had you gotten that opportunity, would you have matched? And that's where you get into a whole different debate. Because then, again, Tony East will join us at 9. Maybe we can get into this with him. If you match, James, now what you have is the next 8-9 months to try to get under the luxury tax. You can either keep Turner and try to make some other moves to get under the luxury tax, or do you play the sign and trade? Do you look at the Bucks and you say, hey, Milwaukee, you really want him? Well, what are you going to give up? Or other teams out there that possibly could have got there. I understand that Turner didn't want to negotiate with the Pacers anymore. I get it. Someone shows you that love, you're going to run to that, especially your first time ever being an unrestricted free agent after 10 years in the NBA. But that aspect of it, I have doubts the Pacers would have matched, and obviously I have doubts that Turner definitely wanted to be back here.
I also think that the way he's gone about this, and perhaps this is just there's two parts of me that are like, okay, I can see two different angles. The radio guy in me, Mark, is like, yes, keep talking. We need you to talk. It's the summer. We have nothing to really talk about besides, Pacers Summer League, obviously Fever and Colts training camp coming up, but
we're at the All-Star break. More audio, please.
Exactly. Like, give us something to
More
talk
fodder.
about. But the other side is like, if I was advising you, I'd tell you just to be quiet because you're not going to win this. You're not going to win over the angry fans who are already, entrenched in whatever they want to believe about how the negotiations went down, how you view money versus winning, how you view money versus loyalty, all these things. You know how I feel about money and loyalty. I can't put loyalty or legacy in the bank. So excuse me with all of that. But the way he keeps talking,
right,
it's tearing down some. I think and this is probably more in the moment than anything. But in the moment, where the emotions are still high, I feel like he's tearing down some of the goodwill because the comments probably weren't as thought out or written out as they were in the letter saying goodbye. Whereas this, I'm like, you get going, you get a question that might trigger you because he had another response. Maybe we'll play it throughout the show, but just real quick, he had another response, Kevin, where he goes, yeah, a lot of people wanted me off the team anyway. I'm not finally off the team, and now they're still mad. And it's like, well, who's saying that? Like the people who are critical of you sticking it up in the finals, are they fair to have that critique? But like the people who matter, are they saying that? Like your teammates, the GM, the coach, are they saying we don't want you anymore, or is that just Twitter? So that's where I'm like, are you too online a bit?
I almost felt like it was like two different press conferences where like one was like he had the letter to the fans saying like thank you, this and that, the Longs Donuts shout out, all that. That was him like to the fans that have always been on his side. And then like those comments were kind of targeted those that never really backed him and like, well, we wanted him gone anyway. We wanted DeAndre Ayton. We wanted him off the team. He didn't have a good finals, this and that. I feel like it was almost like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of situation where he's thankful for the fans that had his back, and he's also pointing at the fans that didn't have his back. And he's kind of like, well, now you got what you wanted, and you're still not happy.
Well, he also just kind of like dips his toes into the whole competitive water. He said it once, but then he didn't say it again throughout the press conference. And then Saturday, he doesn't really go there. And I thought the most demonstrative he was, because I watched the full, he really was on the broadcast for the entire third quarter, or pretty much the 7-8 minutes of it. At one point, just kind of out of the blue, Jared Greenberg and I think it was maybe Channing Frye were the two announcers interviewing him. The most animated Turner got throughout was him saying, I got a contract offer sheet put in front of me. Like, again, going back to the girlfriend analogy, the Pacers in the relationship literally said, hey, I'm ready to leave you for someone else. And like, if you are going to go through that, I can get why Turner's frustrated. Now, is this an element of, hey, he just got fired, if you will? I say that in quotes. And he's going out to, get beers with his old employees. And that's when he just airs all this dirty laundry and he's, dumping all over his former employer. There's a little bit of that right now. But at the same time, I disagree with the competitive use of that word, but I can understand his general frustration in what happened with the DeAndre Ayton thing never truly going away.
Well, I said it last week too, where it's like the Pacers could have avoided this. They could have just signed him an extension in season. Now maybe Turner never wanted to get that point. Maybe he wanted to test free agency. But like, if you had every right to try to, keep him around, you could have had an offer on his during the season. Never happened. So he tested free agency. He got an offer, and you can say everything you want, but like, if you're actually sitting in that table and someone slides a paper across from you. Yeah. With that many zeros on it, I mean, you try telling me you're turning that down.
By the way, Jay Huff, that man, he got some buckets against my Irish in college. I don't know if that means he can play in the association. And he's not just some stiff. This is a dude that can bang a little bit.
Well, considering like your thoughts on Notre Dame basketball, didn't you and Rakestraw go see them play the Citadel, and you're like, it was a rough watch. Well, I don't know what pedestal to put that on.
We got a win over Boston College last year.
Okay.
When Rake and I were in the building there. But the whole Jay Huff operation, this kind of gets into a debate I think we had, James, right at the start of July of, are you going down the path of JV version of Myles Turner? Now do you use that lingering money for a Mathurin and or Neesmith extension? That becomes now the question the rest of the offseason. And I know that's not it's not a real sexy, sort of debate.
Yeah.
You're pretty much running it back. You've got a JV version of Turner in Jay Huff. You're going to play center by committee, it sounds like, and we'll see if you extend one of your young guys. I think that's left. We'll, again, ask Tony East when he joins us coming up, but, like, I feel like that's kind of where they're at now with the rest of the offseason.
Yeah, and I feel like in regards to Jay Huff, I've seen people put the per 36 minutes.
Yeah,
him
I'm
and
not
Myles,
going there. But
I know
he
you're
is
not
like
going
a JV
there, but I'm
version
like,
of Turner.
That's why I'm kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, Kevin. Like, he is Myles light. Myles very light, because the guy has been a journeyman in the NBA. He hardly played in the NBA until last year. So for those per 36ing everything, there's a reason why we go off and we give like scoring champ leaders and assist leaders to players who play no matter the minutes. The per 36 minutes, there's a lot of great players who are great per 36 minutes. All of them are not all-time greats. All of them are not NBA starters, which is why that, to me, is kind of like fool's gold a bit. So, yes, he has capabilities of helping you out and stretching the floor and doing some things that can help, keep the offense similar to what it would look like with Myles, but he is not Myles. He's not close to Myles. And I don't think he's, really, I don't think they have like a legit proven starting center on their roster, which is kind of what Kevin Pritchard alluded to. They're going to, do it by committee and see how it all shakes out.
Mark in the YouTube chat said losing Turner wasn't the issue. Losing Turner for no return is the problem.
Yeah, when you're in a market like this, you're not going to necessarily thrive in free agency. Again, I still have questions about how deep into the tax the Pacers are willing to go. You cannot lose quality players for nothing. That hurts, frankly, and I think that's where you're at right now. With this current offseason. All right, a little bit more on this, certainly upcoming. We'll also hit on the Colts a week from tomorrow. Will be a report day at Grand Park. I assume that'll be Chris Ballard reading the media that day. Among other things, they'll practice 4 days in a row to start their training up there in Westfield. We'll touch on some of that. Who are the indispensable Colts here in 2025? It will be a big part of the 8 o'clock hour. Tony East will join us coming up at 9. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton on the Monday. 8 o'clock on a Monday. A little tease here from Mark Dykton. I feel like I'm still on vacation when you play a song like that. This is back to reality on this Monday. Although I do feel like it's a little bit of a newsier Monday, July 14th, than we're used to in this market. WNBA All-Star Weekend upcoming here in the Circle City Fever. Very impressive yesterday. Offensively, in particular, huge second quarter. Blew that game open over Paige Beckers. And the Dallas Wings will play tomorrow and Wednesday on the road before, again, all eyes turn to Indianapolis for WNBA All-Star. Friday night skills. Saturday night will be the All-Star game. Home run derby tonight, if you would like to view that. Reminder, Tony East going to join us coming up here at 9 o'clock. There's still one more Myles Turner clip I want to get to eventually in the show. He did touch on the debate about, what the reaction might be when he does make his return to Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I said this to you guys right before the July 4th holiday, and I still mean it. Pacers-Bucks needs to be Christmas game, and honestly, if the NBA schedule can make it work, that should be the first home game of that series this season. The NBA should do Bucks at Pacers, so Turner's return game for the noon slot. You're still going to get Giannis. That's a star. You're going to get a great storyline with the Eastern Conference finalists last year. You're going to get Turner. Noon, Christmas Day, Bucks at Pacers. I stand by that. I haven't wavered. It's only strengthened, in my opinion, after Turner's comments.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that a lot. And I still think that the Pacers are going to be a competitive team. Like, I don't think they're going to be, god-awful next year where it's like, man.
I was surprised the over-under is that as low as it is.
I was going to say, you're going to jump all over that next year.
Yeah, I think that they'll be better. What is it, 37.5?
39.5.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I saw 39.
39.5.
That's got to be an overhit, right?
Yeah, I feel like they're like a 42-win team without Halliburton, barring any injuries, obviously, to other key players. And I know people will say, well, they started 10-15 last year with Halliburton, but yeah, Neesmith with a bunch of time. Nembhard was out for a while. So assuming your top guys don't have any major injuries or don't miss significant stretches of the season, I would think that they're like borderline play-in team, meaning play-in or playoff team. I don't think they're going to be like a 10th seed, but can you get out of the play-in and try to, get into that first round just outright?
Summer League game tonight, number 3, Pacers Bulls, 6 o'clock. I think it's
the championship
ESPN.
rematch did not live up to
I think it's ESPN.
what I wanted.
Yeah, who was good for the Thunder is Brooks Barnheiser. Damn,
I feel like they have so many young guys. I'm like, can you get rid of this guy? Can someone trade for him? Can someone just kidnap him or something?
It was not the game 8 I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, and who's the other one they have? Is it Topic,
right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, where's he coming from? They're like, oh, he tore his ACL last year. He's out for a year, but he's like, baby Luka or something. And I'm like, how many young guys do you all have that can play?
I thought I saw they have like 8 first-round picks in the next 4 drafts as well.
The way they've done
the stockpile they have
impressive.
is insane.
Yeah,
it's
is
absolutely insane.
Absolutely insane. Colts back to work a week from tomorrow. That would be report day at Grand Park. Again, they will practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That first week up there in Westfield. James, it's an annual thing. I do it on the website. I'm sure if you haven't done it by now, you will do it on The Athletic. The indispensable Colts. The players they cannot afford to lose. Who would be atop that list? I made a list 1 through 5. I might throw the first 3 names at you. 2 and 3 surprised me when I did the exercise. Like, I would not have thought walking into it that I would have 2 and 3 where I did. But if I had to say the most indispensable, the player they cannot afford to lose here in 2025, you would go where?
The most indispensable player? Oh, Lord.
And I guess while you think, let me give you a little criteria. I think there's kind of 3 layers to defining most indispensable.
I'm glad you're doing this.
1, you need to be good. That's rather obvious. 2, I think it's important you play a position of value. Like, unfortunately for a guy like Quentin Nelson, I frankly don't view him as the most indispensable Colt because name me the guards on the last 20 Super Bowl teams. It's a position that I think is a little bit more plug and play. Nelson is a great talent, but if you were describing indispensable, you've had Quentin Nelson for 7 years. How many division titles? I mean, you've literally had a Hall of Fame player. Like, so that matters too. So
Mark,
again,
clip this audio for Quentin Nelson, okay?
good
Yeah.
player.
He's going to use this to get the Colts into the playoffs.
Yeah. Report day, he's going to stare holes in Kevin Boland's soul.
Well, I'll go out on a limb and say he has stared a hole in
I was going to say do that
all
either
of our
way.
souls. Yes. Here at this point, nothing against Quentin Nelson, just happens to be the position he plays. And then 3, I think your depth chart matters at that spot.
Okay.
Like, if you don't have quality depth there, then that makes you more indispensable. So, good player, positional value, the depth stinks. You add up all that. I think
And
that's how you create an indispensable list. You go where for number 1?
Bernhard Raimann, your starting left tackle. You lose him, season over. You're picking top 5 in the draft because as much as we talk about quarterbacks, how they play, how they look, Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, if they are not protected on that left side at that position, God bless you. I also think that he is the one, we talked about this last week, Kevin, because we did something similar to this where we were debating players in contract years, Alec Pierce, Nick Cross, Bernhard Raimann, to name a few. Kwity Paye. Who would you bring back? Who would you extend? Do you think they're going to be on the team next year? Bernhard Raimann is the only player currently that I would unequivocally extend with no question. No matter who is the quarterback next year, no matter who is the coach next year, no matter who is the GM next year, I will make sure that he is compensated because a better than average left tackle is a lot more important and a lot more glaring of an issue if you don't have that, if he's a below average left tackle.
Yeah,
I'm Bernhard Raimann, and I'll be back.
Gosh, that was so good. Can you play that one more time? Because I think I walked over it.
I'm Bernhard Raimann, and I'll be back.
Gosh, that was so good.
The pause makes it
I mean, that was just
epic.
Jake just I was like, don't embarrass the young guy. And then Bernhard Raimann just accepted. I mean, he just fully embraced it and just did it. And that's what he's done here 3 years in his NFL career. It's been a quality left tackle. I'd like to make for great radio debate. I have none. Bernhard Raimann is number 1 on the list. Now, I want to get to 2 and 3. One thing I'll add on Raimann, you have enough, James, questions, concerns, debate over your quarterback. You can't have the blind side be that as well. And your backups there are Blake Freeland and Jalen Travis, who if there is any draft pick you would label as kind of a project, I don't think any of them necessarily qualify as a normal project in this year's class.
Right.
Travis would probably be the one. He was at Princeton for 3 years, then played at Iowa State this past year. So that would probably be the one. So yes, Raimann will be 1. 2 and 3 is where I started to be like, is this right? Do I have this right? Did you think about anybody else for 1? Because I had a pretty wide gap from 1 to 2. But if I had to push you a little bit further down that list, where would you go? Because I think this is where you can get into a lot of good debate back and forth on it. To me, Raimann is rather obvious. I thought Anthony Costanzo was obvious for a while.
Oh, man. Let me think about this. Indispensable Colts.
And while you think about it, does the dude who won Wimbledon yesterday, does he do steroids?
He looks pretty amazing. He's also very good at tennis, by the way. Have to be the
I
one.
saw a lot of people doing the little asterisk sign when he won yesterday. I don't know.
I don't know. Is that more like a court type of thing?
He served his sick. Was he out for a few months there? I have that right.
Hey, I'm thinking if they legally allowed you to play,
okay,
take that L.
All right. 2 and 3 on the list.
2 for me. Can you go 2 first? I want to see where your head's at.
2, I went with Zaire Franklin.
Ooh.
Now,
Ooh.
this is not the list of the best Colts players.
No, it's
this
most
is a list of
indispensable.
indispensable. Hear me out. I don't think.
Okay, that's where I'm like getting like.
Now again, I can
fighting
hear you
myself.
out. You can simply sit there and say, Kevin, you are an absolute idiot. There's no way I have Zaire Franklin 2, and that's fine. I think when you're installing a new defense, the quarterback of that defense is vitally important. The lead communicator. Nowadays, I think we call that the green dot guy, right? The guy that, signals in everything. I think that player is really important. Positional value, I know, is not very high at linebacker. And, there are years, James, where I did this list and Darius Leonard would be this high. Well, Darius Leonard was an absolute freak when it came to taking the ball away. Just a unique linebacker like no other. That's not Zaire. But I think when you're installing a new defense and when you consider the depth chart, James, you were out there for the handful of spring practices like I was. There were days where the starting defense would come out, and it was seemingly every day, and I had to look down at the roster. The starting defense.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, 48? 59? John Batchy? Shout out to the Cameron Grown from LC. Like, I mean, the drop
Joe
off.
Batchy, by the way.
Joe Batchy. Like,
See?
I don't even know his first name.
See?
The drop off at linebacker is immense. So to me, I went Zaire Franklin at 2.
That's why that position is circled for me on the depth chart, because, like, outside of Zaire, it's a bunch of guys. I don't know if you have any dudes. You have a bunch of guys.
Do you have the roster up there?
Yes.
Mark, name all the linebackers.
Jalen Carlisle, Cameron McGrone, Austin Ajaki, Solomon DeShields, Zaire Franklin, Liam Anderson, Jacob Phillips, Saguna Luby, and Joe Batchy.
Joe, not John.
No. That's kind of alarming.
I went Zaire Franklin too. If I were making a list of the best players, I don't know. I'd probably have Zaire, 8 to 11 on the list of best Colts, something like that. But again, to me, when you make a list like this, it's not just he's a good football player.
Yeah.
But I had to throw in depth chart. And again, when you're installing a new, if you have mental, not on the same page issues when you're installing a new defense, we're going to be looking at the same unit we've looked at for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think that is a solid pick. Part of me wants to pick Cam Bynum at free safety. And I say that because you brought him in to shore up that position. There is no more Julian Blackman. There's nobody really behind Cam Bynum that you would feel comfortable putting back there. I mean, we've seen the...
Guess where I have Bynum?
Is that 3? Ah, fair. Okay. All right. I'm getting somewhere here.
I got Zaire 2, Bynum 3.
Mine would probably be flipped, but I mean, that's semantics. I
So
could
did
also
you
make an
think-
argument.
Now, did you think about DeForest Buckner? Did you think about Jonathan Taylor? Like,
Yeah.
Hand raised, I have Jonathan Taylor.
I was going to say, I thought about Jonathan Taylor long and hard.
Mark, step up to the plate here.
I have Jonathan Taylor on there because, well, as much as I like Khalil Herbert, you lose your workhorse in Jonathan Taylor, and that is a mountain of pressure you're putting on Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones going forward. I mean, we've already said that they're not very trustworthy throwing the ball. Imagine if Jonathan Taylor's not out there, and then every defense can scheme. We don't have to worry about the run game. Let's just focus in on the quarterback and the passing game. That would be a nightmare scenario for Shane Steichen and company.
Yeah. To piggyback off what Mark said.
That's a great point.
I just think not only would it put pressure on your quarterbacks, but on the running backs that are behind them. Like, you sure Khalil Herbert's a lead guy?
No, he's not. He's a fine change of pace guy, but he is not a lead back in the league.
He is spoken like someone who might have seen Khalil Herbert play for the Bears. And DJ Giddens, yeah, we were really high on him in the draft. And he was a good pickup, I think, in the 5th round. But is he ready to start in the NFL? So, and then also, I think it goes back to what we've seen when Taylor is not available. That run game is terrible in his absence. And we saw it a lot last year. It was only 3 games, but by gosh, those 3 games were rough because they could not move the ball on the ground with a traditional running back, where I think that's where JT's value is really kind of, overlooked or overstated sometimes, where it's like, this dude is really good at football. And when he's not out there, it's very obvious that he's really good at football.
Yeah, when I wrote the list out, I said, okay, Ryman's clearly 1 for me. Once I get 2 through 5, I can hear anything. Like, I mean, smash those together.
Yeah.
To me, it's a lot of debate. I think Mark makes great points about Taylor. Still, it's just running back positional value. And I am not as down on the depth as maybe, not that you guys are, like, really down on it, but, guys, remember what the depth was last year with Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson? Like, I do think the depth has gotten
it's better. It's definitely better
there.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, DeForest Buckner would be the other one that I thought about. I had him 4 on the list. Great. The thing that makes Buckner truly indispensable in my eyes is he's a defensive tackle that offers pass rush ability, and that position just doesn't, lead to that. Honestly, Grover Stewart is a really good player, but he's not playing on 3rd down for you. So I think you can get into some debate there. Reminder, Fever win yesterday. The keys to the game brought to you by Hubler Automotive Group. Check out your next car at drivehubler.com. Indiana's giant automotive group. James Boyd, the key to yesterday was That ball was on a string starting with the second quarter on. Offensively, it was an outstanding afternoon. That 30 assist number, that is a franchise record for a regulation game for the Fever.
Yes, and to piggyback off your key to the game, I think a big key to that was Caitlin Clark. If you're looking for tangible keys, she was the one holding all of them on her keychain because she was just able to dissect that defense. And I thought even early on she was able to kind of score to force them to react to her. She had 7 of her, 14 points in that first quarter, kind of got the defense back on their heels. And then when they started getting up in her grill, she was picking them apart like a great quarterback would. It was very Peyton Manning-esque.
The in-stride, over-the-top ball to Sophie Cunningham. Like, the in-stride ability she has. Like, it's one thing to just throw a pass and the player catches it. It's another thing, particularly on a fast break, when that player doesn't have to, reach back or stop or pump fake or have to adjust. I mean, Sophie Cunningham just caught that ball and was able to lay it right in.
Yeah, it's literally catch and shoot, which is a term we use for jump shots, but that's how she does you for layups. She just sets you up right underneath the basket.
Leah Boston gets a seal, boom, right there. So
exactly. But I will say I enjoy Caitlin when she is fiery Caitlin because before that full court pass, she had a nice block there on one of the Wings guards and talked her talk. And I think it was a lot of bleep, 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 bleep that we can't play on the radio. And Caitlin will never tell us what she actually says. And she's so nice after games. And she's so nice in pregame and in interviews. But I'm like, I know the real you, Caitlin.
She flips the switch, right?
Yes, you're a killer. Like I've said, I think she reminds me so much of the competitive nature that we've seen, that we did see in Kobe Bryant.
A couple of other names I thought about, by the way, on that Colts indispensable list. I did think about Javarius Ward coming over in free agency. I do think your depth at corner is a little bit more reassuring than it has been in years past.
Yeah.
And James, I thought about the first-round pick. I don't think I've ever
I did think about that, but I was like, he's got to show me that he's good first. That's my only.
I ever thought about a rookie before, honestly, and it's probably the 7th or 8th year that I've done this list. But I do think on an offense that sorely could use a consistent presence at tight end, I did debate Tyler Warren a little bit in my head.
If we would have expanded past 3, I would have said that he would be on there.
Here's one, and this is just to kind of ponder, but who needs to be an indispensable player after this season or had to have a breakout season? And to me, it has to be Laiatu Latu. Like, if you're looking for the next step for anybody on this roster, and maybe, that guy needs to be a dude.
Maybe we transition as the week moves along into players with the most pressure on them this season.
Yeah, because
when you start to get to that list, now, it's pathetic. We just threw out how many names? 9, 10?
Yeah.
It's pathetic. None of us even sniffed quarterback. That's the state of your franchise right now. We just named the most indispensable play. I mean, guys, it's the most important position in sports.
Yeah.
And none of us thought about the quarterback.
Well, once you said, and I mean this in all sincerity, this is not as a shot, but once you said they have to be good,
well,
I was like, all right, well, quarterback's out.
Yeah.
Seriously,
because red pen that one.
Yeah, both quarterbacks have been more bad than
like
good
Kevin Bowen
in the
applying
NFL.
for The Bachelor. Well, you have to be attractive. Well, okay, Kevin, you can pass out water.
I don't know. I like the dad bod, man. You look good coming back in here.
Yeah, the dad bod. There's a little bit of an upper chest fill here and a little bit of a bigger waist here.
Isolate that sound.
On this Monday morning. Am I going to regret that, Mark?
I think James is going to regret it in the future. I like the dad bod.
Thank you, James. Let's go ahead and check it down. All right, let's go out to Vegas to begin things. Pacers Summer League over the weekend. They get rolled by the Thunder. Johnny Furphy did have a nice scoring output with not necessarily shooting the ball very well. And, James, I know you've been impressed by the second-round pick out of Liberty.
Yes, Talon Peter. I like guys who get buckets, and that's what I like to see in the Summer League. I think he's shown a variety of ways to score, but also he's had some pretty disruptive plays on defense as well. So I think that he's, showing some things that you like to see translate from Liberty to the NBA.
6 o'clock today, Pacers Bulls. If you want to, you can check it out. I believe ESPNU. Maybe throw a DVR on that if you like to see the Summer League Pacers in action. All right, yesterday over the field house, as we hit on, it was a 102-point output by the Fever over the Dallas Wings. The high efficiency of some of their better players, that would be Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston. They combined to go 23 of 29 from the floor. Sophie Cunningham at 13-5 off the bench. An efficient afternoon for her. And Caitlin Clark, 13 assists and 2 turnovers. Once again, her best quality, in my opinion, is her ability to pass the basketball. James, she has shot it very poorly since her return. 13 of 41 from the field, 5 of 19 from 3. That is in 3 games back. So definitely something to keep an eye on. They'll have 2 games this week. It'll be at Connecticut tomorrow and then at New York on Wednesday.
Yeah, she keeps telling us she's a couple of shots away from being where she wants to be, but it is still pretty impressive that they put up a season high 102 points, tied their season high from a few weeks ago with that outing yesterday.
And I'm a couple salads away from potentially being back in like a normal waistline standpoint.
Well, I think I might like Caitlin's prospects a little bit better there.
What the hell, man? I mean, first you praise me and then you go there.
I mean, but you can't put her in the same category. You tried to make it seem like it was an equal thing. Nah, man, that ain't the same.
Someone's definitely not in the same category this year in IndyCar as Alex Palou, win number 7 yesterday over in Iowa. His first short oval win.
Man, he was in a drought. A long drought.
Obviously won on the big oval in late May. But it was Pato Ward on Saturday. It was Alex Palou on Sunday. Doubleheader there in Iowa. The crowd was pathetic. I was disappointed to see that because I actually enjoyed the entertainment value that race provides. Enjoyed listening to it on the way back from the family vacation up in Michigan. The Penske issues continued. Joseph Newgarden had a great race car in both races, but Will Power and Scott McLaughlin had issues. So Penske struggles this season have been absolutely monumental throughout the entire year. Toronto upcoming on Sunday. It's 12 o'clock there north of the border. And then Laguna Seca to round out what is a crazy month of July for IndyCar. 5 races in total for that series. Major League Baseball, we've got the Home Run Derby tonight. Mark, you've had to simmer on it for about 90 minutes. Have you decided a betting odd here for the Derby from Atlanta?
Well, if we're looking at like odds and stuff, like you said, Cal Raleigh is definitely by far the favorite, so there's not really like much money to be made
He's
there.
plus 300 for our fans out there that are maybe not huge gamblers. So that would be a $10 bet to win 30, and he has hit what, 38 homers at the break, something like that. 39.
I know who I'm rolling
It's in
with.
Atlanta. How about Matt Olson, plus 900, hometown kid? I guess. Sure.
Is that some Jay Bruce?
Him or
Cincinnati
James
vibes
Wood? James
from
Wood
back
is
in the day?
plus 400. That's not much better. So if you're looking for value, I'll say Matt Olson.
I'm going James Wood. I know nothing about
the James is a line.
I know nothing about the home run derby, lore or who's the favorite, but I'm gonna go with James Wood because with a name like that, not the James part, it's the Wood part.
Yeah, he's
I
probably
was thinking of Wood back in COVID. Never mind. I'll leave that alone.
You should clip that of yourself. How about that, Mark?
Well, that got us through a lot of dark times, James. Hey, I found a new solution. Click on this link. Oh my God.
I'm not even sure if I'm totally following there from Mark Dykton.
Going on that bed.
I know no more Pete Alonso bench pressing. That's probably my biggest home run derby memory here from the last few years in between at bats. Does Myles Turner think he's going to get booed when the return visit comes to Gamebridge Fieldhouse? We'll hit on that much more on the Colts Tony East 9 o'clock. It's us 3 for the next 2 weeks. That would be Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton, right here on The Fan. Tony East, top of the hour. He's back from Vegas, where he was front and center and actually was singled out in probably one of the more public praising press conference moments I've seen towards a player and an athlete. Myles Turner had a lot of praise for Tony East. So
Doc Rivers was like, that was very nice.
I know. Even Doc chimed in and did say that during the presser. So shout out to Tony East for that. I believe he caught up with Rick Carlisle as well out in Vegas. So we'll chat with Tony upcoming at 9 o'clock.
Mark, was that Let God Sort Him Out?
No, it was Clips. So be
Okay.
it. It was the new Clips song.
Okay, I was just
the
making
album
sure.
coming out.
I know. That's why I asked. Let God Sort Him Out was the album that Clips, Pusha, and Myles
Oh,
had
I'm
put
sorry.
out.
Yes.
See, I know a couple things about music, but I will say, in regards to Tony's compliment, Tony, when you come on air here, don't act like I don't compliment you all the time, okay? Don't start getting all high and mighty because the rich guy said something to you. Remember where you started, okay?
Well, and honestly, Pacers fans would probably rather hear you compliment him than Myles Turner, with where they're.
Yeah, I was about to say right now, yes, I am. I feel like whenever one of the players, gets on their bad side, there's like, oh, we love the media because we just covered all of it and we say what we think. But I do think that it was a good moment for Tony to get that recognition. But beyond that, what Myles said, man, it's hard to not feel a way about it. And I would love to hear what the players think unfiltered, which we probably won't get.
Well, what about the social media stuff? Are you there at all? Are you there with Andrew Nemhard as the only one that has liked a post about Myles Turner being gone?
I'm not all the way there. I do think that.
What do you make of Benedict Matherin's picture and any of that?
Well, I think Benedict Mathurin is crazy, and I think that was also we talked about this last week, Kevin. I'm back in on Benedict Mathurin. Not that I was ever fully out.
Welcome aboard.
But
Let's go.
When I saw that, I was like, you know what? Every team needs one crazy guy. And I mean this in a very good way. You need one crazy guy on your team.
Yes, I actually agree with that.
And if James Johnson is one of the odd men out when it comes to retooling this roster, give me crazy Benedict Mathurin because that dude clearly is a competitor. And honestly, you need a little bit of that on your team when it comes to just competitive fire. But no, I don't read too much into the who liked what, mainly because I can't keep up with it. I don't know what's real, what's fake. Like, did you screenshot this and show me this, 2 minutes after Myles posted it, or did you give it 2 days or whatever? I'm
not a big social media conspiracy guy, or I don't really get into the weeds in it. But I will say I think there's a little bit there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he had a sort of moment where, remember when he said, I texted our group chat and a few of them hit me back, and I was like, you could have left that part out. Because now we're all like, a few? How few? Because you didn't say everybody hit you back.
Right, yeah. Ray J. Dennis hit him back.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Hopefully
I'm like,
catch a spot on the next
part of me
private
is
jet.
like, what did Tyrese say to you? What was that conversation like?
I know the Tyrese True Serum would be nice. This was Turner's comments. Mark, pull this up. This is from Saturday. Again, he had his press conference Friday, and then Saturday he appeared on the Bucks Cavs Summer League. I don't want to rehash everything. The 7:30 segment, for those that want to go back and check that out, we definitely kind of took a deep dive into Turner's comments. But this is in relation to the reaction he will get next time he walks into Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
What do you expect your first time back playing in Indiana?
Oh, I don't know what to expect, man. I really don't. I think it's going to be half and half. There's even my time there was a lot of people that want to be off the team, and now they got what they wanted, and now they're complaining still. So,
All right.
That to me was
Mark Dykton, pull it out.
Oh Lord.
Whoa, wheezy now.
Boo Birds. Well, we already had our last segment issue. Boo Birds will be what in the Myles Turner return game to Indiana? He said 50-50.
Who said 50-50?
Turner,
Myles?
did he not?
Play it again.
What do you expect your first time back playing in Indiana?
Oh, I don't know what to expect, man. I really don't. I think it's going to be half and half. There's
half and half.
even my
Half and half,
time there.
Okay.
Okay, I would have said half and half before his comments at the press conference.
I was saying.
I think it could. I think you would have got the tribute video. You would got a good standing ovation and this and that, and then the game would have tipped, and then they would have booed him every time he touched the ball. Now,
Boy.
80-20,
Yeah.
70-30,
No.
80-20 probably,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. 80-20, 90-10. Honestly,
They might boo that whole montage they put together.
the 10% might just be people that have been in Turner's block. That might be the only people.
You know
Which
what
is
I
fine.
think?
At some point, we will get to the position where people can appreciate what Myles Turner gave the franchise for 10 years.
See,
at some point. That point ain't happening in 25. It ain't happening in 26.
Yeah.
And it's probably never going to happen when he's wearing a Bucks uniform, which is fine. Welcome to sports. Welcome to fandom.
Is what he
when you
did.
say stuff, you've got some consequences. And part of those consequences will be he will get his ass booed, as he should. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden people disparage his career here. No. You can boo him in the heat of the moment for 48 minutes. And then at some point, 5 years down the road, you can say, you know what? Myles Turner had a nice 10-year career here.
Now, I don't think
he's going to sign that one-day contract and come back and retire a Pacer.
I don't think this, but I'm just thinking out loud here. But is Myles Turner going to get the Paul George treatment?
No.
I was going to say, it's not that bad, but I feel like...
Well, and he's not that good.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking because,
I think it takes both.
Paul George talks about it to this day about his long-lost love
I
with
think
the
those
Pacers.
are key elements. Paul George caused the derailing of an era.
Mm-hmm.
Caused a total upheaval. Turner's not causing that.
Right. I'm just wondering his comments, like if fans will treat it like Paul George to that degree. I'm like, I don't think so, but it's...
I don't want to act like it's at that level. I don't think it is.
So here's my counter to the booing. Like, in what world wouldn't you boo? Like, are you mad of the way that he left or just his comments afterward? Because I'm like, the Pacers are not blameless here. If you're of the notion of like, A, we should have re-signed him, or B, we should have got something for him. They do not get off of this scot-free.
Well, and let's go back to what we talked about an hour ago, James. I said to you, I don't think the Pacers would have matched. That is my opinion.
Right. And
I don't think they would have matched. But I think it's a couple things. One, it really it's so much rooted in his comments. And that word competitive. That is there are some, I think, key words when you're describing sports or athletes. I think I go back to a Chris Ballard press conference to end the year, James. Late in the press conference. In some way, shape, or form, Ballard gets asked again about, not being able to win late season games. I don't know if you remember that. And he used the phrase, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is pretty much a direct quote. He said something to the effect of, "We don't have enough tough guys." Wait a minute. You're describing your football team as you don't have enough tough guys? I think when you use phrases like that, when you say that, no, I wanted to leave there because I wanted to be a place where I felt we could be more competitive. That's a twist of the knife, in my opinion. So I think because of that, he will get booed. And again, Christmas Day, the first Bucks at Pacers game of the year. You can do Pacers at Bucks in October, for all I care. The first Bucks at Pacer game, noon, Christmas Day. Santa better come early. Open up the gifts early, folks.
Yeah, I feel like they've done the Madison Square Garden noon game in Christmas. No.
You can do Cavs Knicks at 2:30. Yeah. You can do, I don't know. Isn't that kind of the other Eastern Conference mark? Mm-hmm. Before we get out west, before we get, Thunder versus whatever, T-Wolves at 5, Pacers hosting Bucks noon. I apologize to Pacers employees and everybody that's going to have to work that day, but the NBA needs it.
I'd say this market needs it too. That'd be fun.
I would agree. As long as we don't have to do a show that day.
Well, God, we better not be.
We have 2 takes in our YouTube chat. Justin Beard says, I don't really have an opinion. I think he is an okay player and helped the Pacers get to the finals. Once they got there, however, he disappeared. Justin, that is way too reasonable of a take. We're doing a radio show here, so pick a side. Well, I do appreciate him being kind of, mild-mannered. Then we have Dustin, who is one of our funnier YouTube commenters. He says, the fans should boo because we want the players on the other team to not play well. It is that simple to me. And that in essence is okay with me. I
largely agree with that.
Yeah, just lean into it. To me, there's this sector of every fan base where are you booing because you truly hate this person or hate what they represent? Are you booing just because that's part of the bit or part of what you should do as a fan? Because I am not all into the whole, for this portion of the video, we should be quiet and sentimental and congratulatory. If I'm going to boo, I would be the pettiest person alive and just boo through the entire video, boo you every time you touch the ball, and just boo your existence until you leave. Because that is one of the greatest rights of being a sports fan is the ability to boo.
Now, how about this? The tribute video for Turner, right?
I would boo straight through that thing.
Christmas Day.
If I was,
Christmas
not
Day,
whatever.
68-second video, okay? for the first 65 seconds. Turner highlights, all that. His 3 against the Cavs before halftime, the shots from, Kokomo in Game 4, and then the final clip is the competitive clip. Mark, play that. That's the final clip of the video. The final clip of the video is the press conference. In Bucks gear, Myles Turner saying this.
But for me, ultimately it was about just staying competitive. 2 years ago, got to Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, last year we got to the finals. But, being there, being part of it, winning basketball has just changed my entire perspective on this league. And I saw a chance to remain competitive here. And, John, even Doc, has assured me that, winning is a top priority here. And we just align with our visions.
That's the final clip.
So
boy.
Indiana
Are we good with that?
fall by that.
Yeah.
I
Are we
am
good with that?
I feel like that would get the juices flowing.
Dean Havlin?
Man, boy.
I've made a request before. I wanted John Halliburton on Boomer's back. That did not happen. I understand logistically that could have been a nightmare. Make this happen. It's just a video edit. It's sports. It's fandom.
Someone said just play his finals highlights. This is the welcome back video, and it's like you guys are just
ice cold.
cutthroat.
Oh, that is ice cold. Much more Tony East in 15. It's the Fan Morning Show here. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Always look forward to our convos with Tony East, but definitely this one coming up in about 10 minutes. He's back from Vegas. He was at the Myles Turner press conference, caught up with some Pacers personnel out there. I believe the hope is Isaiah Jackson, James Wiseman will be full go for training camp. I mean, you're looking at only about, 2 months from now? 2 months and change?
That's crazy to say because the season just ended.
I know, but when you're the last one standing on Game 7 of the finals, boy, does it really condense your off-season calendar. And I know I said it earlier in the show, and I'm a little biased here because I watched him in college, but I like Jay Huff at Virginia. And I'm not going to act like I watch a bunch of Grizzly games, but Jay Huff's got a little game to him. So I'll be curious to see how those minutes get divvied up. I mean, think kind of like JV version of Myles Turner. Not a very good rebounder, can definitely stretch the floor. And honestly, he probably can do some banging at the rim, maybe even a little bit more than Turner.
We debated this last week. Obviously, Turner's block gone now. What are they going to put up there? One of the suggestions was Huff's house.
That's outstanding.
I told you I want the Nemetary for Andrew
Nemetary,
Nembhard.
I like a lot. I stamp of approval on that one.
Boy, that's outstanding.
Yeah, shout out to Twitter for that. I cannot take credit, but they have been saying that
Great
when
work.
Andrew Nembhard guards you, you go to the Nemetary. So that's my pick.
Pascal's Playhouse or no?
That sounds a little risque, so I don't know.
That's a bit too much Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I will say this. So Isaiah Jackson re-signed. That was the other Friday news dump. So he re-signs.
Yeah, 3-year, was it $21 million?
$21 million. No player options, no trade, no team options. It is a straight-up contract. So based off money and value, in theory, he would be your starting center. If you're paying him the most money, I don't know how that works as far as a health factor, when it comes to the Achilles and things like that. He's also a lot bigger. Isaiah Jackson is like jacked now compared to what he used to look like.
They showed him on one of those summer league broadcasts.
Yes,
and I had to do a double take.
I was like, oh, that man's been eating his potatoes. My goodness. But your thoughts on that? Like, would he in theory be your starting center because of the money you paid him?
I get
$7 million is a decent amount of change. Like, this isn't just we brought you back for the vet minimum or whatever. Like, that's a significant contract for a guy coming off an Achilles tear.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'll be curious to see how they view the Achilles guys in terms of minutes. Do you view them in just kind of, short bursts? Okay, here, Isaiah, we'll play you in whatever, 3 5-minute segments throughout the game, and we feel like you're kind of best utilizing coming back from the Achilles with that. I know Tony said this a lot. Tony chatted with Jaleel Okafor. Now, Okafor is labeled as a big guy, much different big guy than some of these others. But Okafor made it clear to Tony in his conversations, like it took him well over a year, borderline 18 months, 24 months before he felt back. And I know we've had this debate with NFL guys. We're going to have Samson Ebukam upcoming here. Colts defensive end. We're approaching 12 months removed from his torn Achilles. The thing about Jackson, stylistically, he was really different than Turner. He was a catch lobs and rebound.
Yep.
That was kind of his thing. The 3-ball was never really, I know more than the G League he tried it.
Yeah,
it's
still
never,
a work in progress.
Right. It's never been an NBA thing, but, I know a lot of people pointed to that Knicks series 2 years ago where he gave you quality, and he's still pretty young. I want to say he's 20.
Jackson? He's 23.
Yeah. So
doesn't turn 24 until next year.
So you're talking about a former first-round pick that's 23 years old, didn't play a lot at Kentucky. There's still, I think, is something there. And, Wiseman is very curious to me. You don't have many second overall picks in the draft get drafted into the situation he got drafted into.
Jeez.
Of a Golden State team in their dynasty prime. And so they never were going to turn to him. Steve Kerr, and Kevon Looney just have some great relationship where I think has kind of impacted Trace Jackson-Davis, frankly, a little bit there and getting some more minutes. So, again, I'll be curious how they handle centers by committee. Before we do get to Tony East, obviously the Fever got it done yesterday. James Boyd, if you had to give out a player of the game from yesterday, you would go where?
Has to be Caitlin Clark, right? I feel like the player of the game would have to be somebody not named Caitlin Clark if you wanted to, give some more love to other players. But she was really good when it comes to the passing, the orchestrating of the offense, 13 assists, only 2 turnovers. And I think that's
got to be one of the best of her career.
Yeah, I was going to say that in conjunction with the shooting like, even if you don't shoot it that well, the decrease in turnovers is huge because that's when I think Caitlin's at her worst, is when she's missing a bunch of shots and she's turning it over at a high rate. And you can kind of see some bad habits forming, maybe some too risky of passes. But I thought, even though she didn't shoot the ball all that great, she didn't force a lot of shots up, and she really just took what the defense gave her, especially when they were selling out to guard her, and she just kept picking them apart. And then really, you saw in the second quarter especially, they're at their best when they're in transition, and she's probably the best transition point guard that we've seen in the WNBA this year. When she's rolling like that, it is very hard to stop her when she's kind of running the show.
Franchise record for assists in a game in regulation. That would be 30 team assists for the Fever yesterday, 64 points and a half. Also a franchise record. Again, they'll go back-to-back. A couple NBA arenas coming up the next 2 nights. It is TD Garden for the Connecticut Sun tomorrow night. I believe that's ESPN. And then the Barclays Center against the Liberty. Obviously, that will be very appointment television. CBS Sports Network coming up on Wednesday before the WNBA All-Star Game right here in Indy. This Fever Focus brought to you after every game by Payless Liquors. Get more, pay less at Payless Liquors. A man that has just returned from Vegas and was a very busy man out there, not necessarily partying. At least I don't think so, but who knows. Tony East, he's going to join us on the other side.
First and foremost, Tony, respect to you, bro. Like, I'm happy you're here, and I appreciate everything you've done for me and over the past couple of years, bro. You've been one of the realest reporters I've been around. So, to that end, I forgot your question. Say it again.
That was pretty good, though.
How about that? In a world we live in this market where no one wants to hear positive comments from Myles Turner, Tony East was on the receiving end of some of those.
That's Teflon Don right there. You can't kill Tony East now.
Very well deserved. I was extremely happy to hear that because Tony East deserves it, and now he is on the Payless Liquors hotline with us right now, fresh off of a trip to Vegas, which I think he probably is feeling a little bit better on this Monday morning than most that go to Vegas and try to return to work on Monday. Tony, good morning to you. How are you?
Love the Vegas trips, but I'm happy to be back from this one. I'm thrilled to be on the other side of that. The 100 hours in Vegas is enough.
Spoken like a married man.
Yes, very well. Yeah. Keep that ring on when you're in Vegas. Tony, the awkward having you react to positive, praised comments. I know I'm probably making you blush, so I won't go too deep into it. But I'll just say this. I thought that was really, really cool what Myles Turner did, and it shows the type of worker you are. So I'm glad that that was out there for the public, and I was very happy that Mark Dykton played that to lead into you. So congrats on that.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate Myles doing that. I got a kick out of it being at a press conference where he said other stuff that people found maybe not the best thing he should say. So that maybe was the dumbest thing he said out of everything he said.
All right, well, let's get into it. Enough of the nice pleasantries. Outside of what the Bucks did to create the cap space, I think that is a huge anomaly in all of this. What has surprised you in the Myles Turner leaving the Pacers, going to the Bucks off-season storyline? This can be comments from people. This can be actions or lack thereof from either team. If we put the stretching of Damian Lillard to the side, what has surprised you?
Oh, man. I mean, I think that was just such a shock in general, right? I think Kevin made that a little bit clear the way he described it to us when he was talking about it last week. Because I still wonder, and I think it's pretty clear this is the case, how much the fact that nobody projected to have any sort of way to get Myles Turner led to the way that the Pacers negotiated, right? I was watching all the teams that could theoretically get some space, and, okay, the Hawks are done, the Pistons are done, the Nets are done, okay. Like, I already thought he will probably return, and now I think he really will return, and then that came out of just nowhere, and so it was interesting in Vegas. Like, I wouldn't call myself the most plugged-in NBA person ever, but, like, I met a few people out there, and, like, all of them said the same thing to be like, can you believe he left, right? Like, I think it was just surprising to absolutely everybody the way that all happened, and I know that's already kind of been hashed out a million times, but such a dramatic transaction to waive and stretch Dame to do that, and the Bucks are really putting all their eggs in one basket. I would say since then, though, that is the most shocking thing, is just how stunned everybody is by it, because he's the best free agent who switched teams, and usually when that happens, it's like people could see it coming, and they couldn't really do that this time. And so I think the fact that it was so stunning has kind of made every single part of it, the Dame part of it, what are the Bucks now? Are they actually good part of it, the way Myles talked about it on TV and then at his presser, obviously, and it just has made everything feel so different and so significant, because you don't see this kind of string of transactions. I mean, we haven't really ever in the NBA, and it's so hard to fathom it all.
Tony, did you have a chance to perhaps follow up with Myles or anyone else out there in Vegas with how he reacted to what the Bucks did to sort of acquire him? Because I don't know if he knew going into free agency that they would be an option.
Yeah, I think his reaction was happy that offer got there, because
there's a lot of money.
But he did talk about, like, what he thinks of the Bucks now. I don't necessarily think he has an opinion of them waiving, stretching Dame to make it happen. But, when that happens as a player, like, it does say something about, like, the level that a team would go to win and make you happy. And that is what Myles talked about in a way that obviously drew the ire of lots of Pacers fans, is that he believes the Bucks can be so competitive, and look what they're doing for their players, and everybody wants to come play for this competitive team. Everybody's coming back, and, like, that's true. And the way they made that happen was cutting Damian Lillard. Like, I can't believe I'm saying that still. And it's been like 2 weeks since it happened. But, yeah, I mean, it's flattering. You're cutting Dame to sign Myles Turner, right? But, he's in Hawaii waiting for the offer. There it is. But, who knows how much better the Bucks will be. Like, they're definitely better than they would have been if they had Dame, no Myles. But I have no idea what level of team that's going to be.
Locked on Pacers is always an excellent listen with Tony Forbes, where you can find Tony's written work. Tony East with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline back from Vegas. Tony, do you think the Pacers would have matched Milwaukee's offer had they given the chance?
Man, that's a good question. I mean, I think the fact that, it's been pretty clear from hearing both sides of the story that the Pacers were lower than this number at that point. I think they would have got close to it. Would they have matched it completely? That's tough to say. There's a lot of bells and whistles in it that make me wonder if the Pacers would have got close in annual value, but maybe not quite all of that. It's actually higher than it was reported too, because the Bucks ended up having a little more wiggle room than expected. So it's 4 for 109 basically, right? So it's like 27 something million a year. But it has a fourth year. It has a player option. It has the maximum possible trade bonus. So if he gets traded, he gets 15% more than whatever much money's left on his contract. I wonder if the Pacers would have gone to, higher in the 20s. But I don't know that they would have gone to a fourth year or a player option or the trade kicker. So I don't know that they would have necessarily straight up matched the offer, but I think they would have gotten much closer than at least what I would have perceived them to be at before he accepted that Bucks offer. But I'm not quite sure they would have gone to 100% match by the end.
Let's play out that hypothetical a little bit more, if you don't mind, before we move on.
Yeah.
Should they have matched, again, had the opportunity be presented to themselves?
I probably would have myself if I were any of the Pacers. Thank goodness for everybody on this call that I'm not. But, they obviously have different goals or spending limits this exact season because of Halliburton. Even if your goal is, if the tax is this huge barrier, like they had to trade a second to swap to get Jay Huff, use those things to trade away someone else, right? Shed the salary, keep the starting level center would have been my kind of thinking. So, yeah, maybe they should have. In fact, if I were advising them, I would have said yes. It would have been maybe painful on the back end. They have only Tyrese Halliburton under contract 4 years from now, literally nobody else. Like, it's not like their books would be so jacked up then. It might have been tough next year to figure out the luxury tax and all that. So I think I would have, but I guess I understand why they didn't. It just kind of depends on what kind of hard limits they have. And, Kevin talked about the second apron being a no-fly zone. I get that. Well, Ben Mathurin, you got to think about him the next year. Like, you probably can't afford both Turner and Mathurin, right? So then you really have to shed money next year. So I get why they wanted to negotiate and kind of had to negotiate. But if I were them, I would have landed there. And I think the biggest reason for that, honestly, is just having someone in that salary slot would have been important for them, right? Now their third highest player makes $18 million. Like, we all just saw that Devin Booker extended for 2 for 140 or whatever it's going to be. Like, players are going to be making 50, 60, 70 million very soon. Like, a lot of players are. To trade for someone making that much, you have to send out that much, right? It's going to be really hard for the Pacers to functionally trade for some of these stars if they want to in the next couple of years, and maybe that won't end up mattering at all if the trajectory of their team goes certain ways. But it's just gonna be tricky to build around it. They'll never have space to add a center that makes $20 million across the next couple of years. So I would have personally, just because it's going to be so hard for them to replace him, and that's kind of like the point I made leading into it. But I do suppose if they believe in the center by committee approach and the flexibility they get from not keeping him, they do have a case to make, but they're going to have to prove it, and they're going to have to hope Tyrese Halliburton can keep making everybody way better.
Tony, when I hear, center by committee, I think of people tell me quarterback by committee. I'm like, oh, it doesn't sound like you have an answer or a good one. That committee stuff doesn't really work all that well. But I will say a big part of that committee is Isaiah Jackson, who they re-signed for 3 years, $21 million. And I was, tagging you, I feel like in 3 or 4 tweets. Per this source, Tony East first. Per this, Tony East got the details. And so good work there, my friend. But were you surprised at the number that Isaiah Jackson got coming off an Achilles tear and still being, prior to that, a good and upcoming player, but a largely unproven player?
Yeah, I was. I thought it'd be a little lower than that, mostly because of that Achilles. And like Mo Wagner tore his ACL in Orlando, and like, maybe we were overplaying the Mo Wagner experience, but like people that I talked to, like media people, to be clear, like in Indy, were like, yeah, he'd be a decent like stopgap starter. He got $5 million 1 year, right? And like, so I wondered coming off the injury if Isaiah Jackson would be about that much, $5 million, maybe a little less because he's younger. And then he got 3 for $21. Now he had the qualifying offer out there for 6.4, and this deal basically is 3 years starting at that value with raises, except it descends instead. So in that way, it makes some sense, and that's exactly in line with some other young restricted free agents that were unrestricted this year, and Trey Mann, Day'Ron Sharp, Zaire Williams. Their contracts look exactly like that, basically. So it's like within precedent of some other players, but all those guys got team options on the third year. I thought Isaiah would have that as well, because you just don't know. Like he could be awesome, right? Who knows? But an Achilles tear is just a tough injury to recover from. Some guys aren't the same right away. Some guys aren't ever the same. So you never know. It's always hard to talk about this kind of stuff, though, because I'm not saying he won't be good. I just think that this contract's a little high, but he might be awesome, right? He fits their system well. And like Kevin said, he was very good in that Knicks series. Like they benched Jalen Smith for him, and it was absolutely the right choice. And they stuck with him into that Celtics series right after that, even though they had no hope without Halliburton in that one. So he's good. He's definitely good. He might start, right? He's definitely of their centers, the guy that has the most familiarity with their system. It's not even close. So if you have a starter that is making $7.5 million and is bouncy and 23 years old, that's fine, right? It's not the end of the world. It's just, it seems a little high for someone coming off an Achilles, but he did earn it with his play. He is a good player.
So one thing I will say, Kevin Pritchard should have definitely just told you that it was Isaiah Jackson when you did ask if it was Isaiah Jackson a few days before the deal came out, but I'm sure you had the pre-write ready. The other thing is I know you had a chance to catch up with Isaiah in Las Vegas. One, what was your reaction just seeing how physically different he looks compared to where he was a year or two ago? And then two, what do you have to say about how he's feeling?
Yeah, he's feeling better. He's at he said 80 to 90% of full of recovery for training camp. He said he'll be ready for camp either way. Like if you just draw a timeline of start to finish of that gap, if he's 80%, he has enough time to get the rest of the 20% done. So that's good news for the Pacers. Carlisle said the same thing when it comes to training camp. But he's good spirits to have re-signed. I think he's happy to be back. Certainly, he was all smiles. It's funny that he wasn't re-signed by the first game. So who knows if he was even in Vegas or where he was lurking around for that first one, but he wasn't on the Pacers yet. So good for him in that way. And I'm trying to remember the other part of your question now that is escaping me.
No, it wasn't. That was the gist of it. Just to physically how has he changed?
No, he's bigger. Yeah, it works out a lot for these guys that when you can't use your legs as much, you can work out your upper body, right? So he's definitely like bigger, like meaningfully bigger. You can see it in his face more than anything. So he's stronger. We'll see what that translates to, right? Sometimes that leads to funky jumper issues, but that was like maybe if you wanted to call it a knock. Like yes, he was very fast and very athletic, but never was like the strongest big man. I'll be curious how that translates to success for a guy like that, because it's so obvious. Like if you stand close to him, it's very clear. When we've seen him working at practice, he's literally using a heavier basketball, right? So I'll be very curious how that all translates to him this season.
Tony East, Locked On Pacers, where you can listen to him. And Tony, I always screw up your Twitter account because I believe you changed the handle. Tony R. East?
Yeah.
Yes, the R is for royalty in Regal.
Well, after Myles Turner's comments.
I used to have NBA in there, and then I was covering the WNBA, and I was like, this feels wrong. This is not right.
There you go.
So I had
Tony
to change it.
R. East on
Tony
Twitter.
Reporter East, as I like to call
Yes, in all caps. Anything else from
I'll
Rick
take that.
Carlisle? I don't know how formal that setting was, but anything else from Rick Carlisle that stood out to you?
Yeah, I'll have that out probably tomorrow, but I talked to him about like literally everything, just went one by one through the transactions. Obviously they added the players added because they liked them. So of course he had positive things to say about all of their additions. But, I think something I talked to him about, like I actually asked him about last season a little bit, and he's had time to at least smile and be happy about the run the team made. But, he kind of made it clear that teams out in Vegas keep telling the Pacers about like how their run, like, either inspired them or gave them like, this is something we need to try to figure out and emulate. It's like how the Pacers did this and all stuff like that. So yes, he was in good spirits, and he's of course, he called having Myles back number one priority. I think they would have liked to have him back, but he seems confident in what they've got at center.
I would tell them folks to kick rocks. As far as the teams that drew inspiration from us, like, you're not us. I would tell them, you think this is some fairy tale story? Hoosiers only happens in Indiana, okay? That's what I would have told them.
100% the Bulls were one of those teams. We could do it too.
The Bulls are sad, man. The Bulls are sad.
Tony, last one, and we really appreciate the time. Left on the offseason to-do list, a two-way contract. Do you think extensions make sense? Honestly, I could probably see both sides. I could see the Mathurin camp maybe not even wanting an extension. I could also see the Pacers having some hesitancy. So what's left, if anything?
Yeah, right now, 1 two-way slot. They do have 15 standard deals. Maybe they're just done. Like, their roster does make sense. Like, if this was their opening night team, I'd get it. So nothing really ado there, but if they see something opportunistic, they'll do it. Who knows if it'll be Talon Peter or Enrique Freeman, but those seem like the most likely options by far. Talon Peter looks pretty dang good for somebody I'd never heard of from Liberty in these summer league games so far. And then, extensions. Aaron Nesmith's eligible for 3 for 60-something. Ben Mathurin's eligible for whatever rookie extension max is for him. It wouldn't have to go that high, obviously. It's tricky with Mathurin because, like you said, I think that he would maybe not want it because given what his resume is so far, the offer would not be what he could be. Like, he'd probably like a year to be like, no, I can earn more than that and play. And if you're the Pacers, then your salary situation is fine. It's not, so alarming without Myles long term, but at some point the tax man might be coming. Like, do you really want to commit to him early without knowing what he's going to look like, especially when his role is going to be different from 1 year? So I think the chances of it went up when Turner left just because they have that flexibility, but probably not a perfect time for that. Maybe next year, obviously, if he's a restricted free agent with them, that would be a perfect time. Then they'd have all the information possible. Nesmith, I think I'd offered at the Pacers. I have no idea what he would consider accepting, but Herb Jones just took about that money, and Herb Jones is really good, so maybe he would take it. And I think Gary Nesmith is quite good, so we'll see. They can't legally offer that. Wink, wink, for 2 more months.
He is Tony East. He deserved everything that Myles Turner said in a very public setting on Friday, and I'm glad that we played that audio for those that missed it. Tony, thank you, sir. Welcome back from Vegas. Let the detox begin.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Tony East, right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. Great dude and a great, great reporter.
Yes, I can't wait to read what he has from Rick Carlisle because we've had Rick on these airwaves. We know it can go one of two ways sometimes, when he can give you a great soliloquy and expand. It can be other times where you're getting a yes or a no. And so I do want to hear his thoughts a little bit more in depth on all the offseason changes and what that means for his team going into 2025-26. And also, Mark, we teased it last week. Is that Green Light podcast with Chris Long and Rick Carlisle finally out?
I don't think so.
I mean, my goodness. I feel like they're going to drop this and everyone's going to have moved on.
Is that a UVA connection between Chris Long and Rick Carlisle there? Is that what that is?
It might be, honestly. I do know that, Rick Carlisle loves his UVA guys.
Indeed.
So I think they dropped podcasts Tuesdays and Fridays, and it wasn't Friday's podcast, so I'm guessing maybe tomorrow. I really don't know what the hell they're waiting for.
My goodness.
It's been like a 6-day tease.
I mean, the time sensitivity of it probably is not necessary right now, but for our sake, yeah. we would like a little bit of that. Thank you to Tony for that. So let's go ahead and check it now. One last Pacer item, Summer League tonight, 6 o'clock against the Bulls. It's ESPNU Game 3 for them. Johnny Furphy's had some moments, not really shooting the ball great, but, has had some moments here. An impressive highlight in the open court yesterday. And Talon Peter, who Tony mentioned right there, definitely has stood out so far. So I believe 2 games, or do they play a 5th game? Does everybody play a 5th game in Vegas?
So you're asking me way too many questions about Summer League schedules, brother.
I believe they play 4, and then they keep playing if they get into the championship tournament
to get to the 5th game, I guess. So.
Yeah, and the blowout loss against OKC might have did them in because I think point differential matters with how you get in or get out of the
quick
tournament.
Way to lose listeners. Talk about tiebreakers in the Summer League. I
know, brother. I'm sorry
for that. Plenty of watchers yesterday for the Indiana Fever and James Boyd. They were highly entertained by that offensive output. That game really broke open in the second quarter.
Absolutely. That was the game itself. I mean, you look at the rest of the quarters, it was very, very even, but the Fever outscored the Wings 36-15 in that second quarter and rode that all the way to one of their most impressive wins of the season. Tied their season high with 102 points in the 19-point victory over the Dallas Wings. I will say, Paige Beckers looked really good, and if the league is in the hands of Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, and others moving forward, we're in good shape here, fellas.
21 for Beckers yesterday.
9 of 15 shooting on a team that had nothing else going, really, outside of her.
And Caitlin was injured for the first matchup between these two, so it was good to see that yesterday. Caitlin Clark, 13 assists, 2 turnovers. Didn't shoot it great at all, but very impressive point guard day for her.
That's a lot of assists,
64 first-half points, most ever in the franchise. 30 assists, also a franchise record for a regulation game. Other items from this weekend: Paddle Awards Saturday, Alex Pillow Sunday. Those are your winners out there in Iowa. Joseph Newgarden had a quality race car on Saturday and Sunday, but could not get it done. Some pit issues Sunday, led a ton of laps on Saturday, but Pato was able to clip him there late in the race. Other Penske struggles continue. Will Power and Scott McLaughlin on that list. And tonight is the Home Run Derby for Major League Baseball. One other Major League Baseball note, I don't think there's maybe a draft that is more publicized than the MLB baseball draft. I saw IU had a player, Devin Taylor, get taken 48th overall. It's a $2 million slot. He set the program record for home runs, 54 of them in Bloomington. He was drafted by the Oakland A's.
Everything baseball does is underrated. Like the draft, don't know what's going on. Their Hall of Fame ceremony, don't know what's going on. It just happens. You're like, oh, okay.
Rank these 3 that you would want to watch: Pro Bowl skills competition, NBA Saturday night dunk contest, 3-point, home run derby.
Oh,
rank them in order.
I'm going home run derby, and it's not even close. Just because at least there's like stars that are playing in it.
So you go home run derby first, and then
probably All-Star Saturday night, even though that's jumped the shark for like 10 years ago.
And then you'll watch Quentin Nelson playing dodgeball.
You've got the Quentin Nelson slander going today, and I'm stepping away from
Quentin Nelson was the last one standing in one of the dodgeball games this year.
Yes, Pro Bowl skills. I don't think I've watched the Pro Bowl in earnest in 2 decades. So yeah, that has zero interest on my radar.
James Boyd, you agree with the Mark Dykton list, or are you changing it up?
As a basketball guy, I'll probably lean more towards the Saturday night with All-Star, but that's more of my own personal
bias. The only
bias.
pushback I'd have for Mark is you do get some stars in the 3-point contest.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, I love to see the skill of shooting.
That's why it's second.
And I even thought a couple years ago when they had Sabrina Ionescu and
that was cool.
Steph Curry, that was awesome. So I would go there first, home run derby second, and yeah, the Pro Bowl could get like canceled, and I probably wouldn't even notice it. And honestly, I think that we should start listing asterisks by who's a Pro Bowl like alternate, because it is kind of crazy to think like
Gardner
Minshew has as many Pro Bowl appearances as like, or one less than Matthew Stafford, and it's like he's nowhere near that player.
I remember Tyler Huntley made the Pro Bowl a couple years ago.
Yeah, I can't. I just don't like that at all.
See, my problem with the NBA All-Star thing, I don't mind it. It takes forever. It's like 5 hours long. You're like, come on already. Let's go.
They did not do themselves many favors this
Mark,
past
let's not act
year.
like the home run derbies and some efficient
I agree.
thing.
I don't like the. I don't
start
like the,
at 8 o'clock tonight. Won't end until 11.
I don't like the bracket system for home run derby either. That does take a while, and you're like, all right, how many times does Pete Alonso need to get a pump in before we do this thing?
Easy now. You're talking about lifting weights. The last item on the home run derby that I will mention is there. And again, we could do this for the NBA dunk contest. Why guys don't compete? Is there any reason why like Aaron Judge isn't in the home run derby?
I mean, there's like Bobby Abreu back in the day that said like, oh, it messed up my swing, and I think Kyle Schwarber has said that before too, where it's like guys are
that's
really.
What Aaron Judge is saying.
I'm assuming that's their opt out. They can say, well, I don't want to, or I want to actually have a break during the All-Star break.
That's the other thing. I think that's a big thing to players, and I didn't realize how much demand is on them. Yeah, I've thought about that
for sure. Trust me. I've said this before. I mean, there was part of me that thought it'd be good if Caitlin Clark didn't play in the All-Star game with her injury.
I was gonna say even beyond playing, she is going to get no break during this All-Star weekend, especially because it's in this city, and so. That Sunday, when they finally break, and that's honestly a benefit for them, maybe she's able to kind of reset and recover then, because from now through Saturday night, Caitlin Clark's schedule has to be jam-packed.
Well, too, with Major League Baseball, I mean, they start playing games, what is it? They don't go back Thursday, do they?
Maybe somebody. I think it's mostly Friday.
I think it's mostly Friday. I mean, the game's Tuesday, yeah, you really don't get any opportunity to get a break. Whereas sometimes at the All-Star game, you do see players leave the All-Star game that Sunday night, fly somewhere. They don't necessarily have to play a game maybe until whatever, Thursday or something.
Yeah, no games Thursday, all full slate Friday.
So again, Home Run Derby tonight, 8:00. Are we carrying that, Mark? Do you have any idea?
Don't ask me.
I would think we probably
Don't
are.
ask me on air.
Don't ask me after I just asked you.
Fever games tomorrow and Wednesday on these airwaves. All right, upcoming some more on the Colts conversation. Anything lingering from what Kevin Pritchard had to say last week, we'll hit on that as well. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and Mark Dykton on a Monday. Enjoyed the combo with Tony East. That will be up on the podcast. We got into Myles Turner and those comments as well. About 7:30 segment, and started our indispensable Colts list there. Definitely some debate once we got past Bernard Ryman. We'll continue to talk Colts throughout the week. Again, it's just a week from tomorrow. They will be up at Grand Park for report day, and then practicing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. Just like in years past, we'll be up there for a morning show. So if you're up there for the morning practices, definitely come say hi to us. We're usually on the kind of the far end, pretty much right next to the end zone on the far field up there at Grand Park. Report day a week from Tuesday.
Can I, do you guys subscribe or check out Pro Football Focus at all? Do you guys look at that site as any like tool in your tool chest?
Yeah, we use
I'm not
it to a
married
certain
to it, but
degree.
yeah.
I do kind of look at it every now and then.
Did you see they had offensive line ranks come out where they ranked all 32 teams? Did you see where the Colts offensive line ranked?
I did not.
Eyebrows raised a little bit.
I'm going to go.
You guys want to take a stab?
They are ranked.
I feel like one of those sites had them super high and another had them like in the 20s.
I'm going to go 18.
Kevin?
One of them had them really high. Was it them?
Why don't you take a guess and
you
I'll
gotta
tell
take
you.
A guess,
3.
brother.
Ooh. Kevin is closer. Top 5. Number 5 is where the Colts come in, despite losing Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. I found that quite surprising. You lose 40% of your offensive line and you're still a top 5 unit.
Yeah, that's why I put him in the bottom half of the league, because you don't know. There's question marks there, at least in my opinion. I mean, you didn't lose these guys for nothing. Ryan Kelly got a nice contract to go to the Vikings, and Will Fries is now one of the highest paid guards in the league.
Yeah, you had one of your most upheaval on the offensive line that you've had in years under Chris Ballard, and you're still a top 5 unit according to Pro Football Focus. I found that surprising.
Well, one thing I find interesting, too, about the O-line, they lost Fries and Kelly. You guys just pointed out their resumes. They didn't do anything of note this offseason to replace them.
Right.
You know, they didn't draft an offensive lineman in the first 3 rounds. They didn't do anything in free agency of note on the offensive line. They're pretty much saying Matt Gonzalez, 3rd-round pick from last year, who was mainly a tackle as a rookie and was mostly a tackle at Pittsburgh in college, he will be the right guard. I don't think there's any real competition there, honestly, entering training camp. I think Matt Gonzalez, they've just kind of penciled in and said, you'll be the right guard. Center is an actual position battle. Go back a handful of years ago, Danny Pinter, the Ball State product, the South Bend, I think it was South Bend Adams maybe, he went to high school. He, as a former 5th-round pick, is back. He has started games in the NFL. He will be competing with Tanner Bordellini, the 4th-round pick of last year from Wisconsin, to be the starting center. They were every other day when we were out there during the spring. That is, I think, that might be the truest one-on-one competition we have here in camp. I still need to see Anthony Richardson back and throwing before I act like that's a competition again. I think Daniel Jones is your starter until I see Anthony Richardson throwing consecutive days, and getting starting reps again.
That's a very fair assessment. Honestly, he has to not have any more injury issues come up for a long time.
He can't even have the nose thing he had last year. Remember
I forgot
that?
about that. Yeah, that was his rookie year, I believe, when he had to
2 years ago. Yeah,
have the nose procedure. I think it was just to align like the bridge of his nose.
He
so
missed
he can breathe
like what,
better.
2 days or something?
Yeah, but there can be nothing of the sort, because at some point, and Chris Ballard pointed this out at the end of season press conference, our biggest issue with Anthony is he can't stay healthy. And it is, to me, it's not something to just overlook, the fact that you got hurt in the spring. People can debate, is it an injury? Is it just he's hurt? Is it just soreness? Whatever the case may be, you were not available when no one was even hitting you yet. And that, to me, is a red flag. So when we get back and we get out there to Grand Park, if we're going through the same conversations again, to me, that'll mark the end of the Anthony Richardson experience, because at some point you got to pull the plug on a guy who can't physically play the game.
Yeah, I think that's a huge red flag if I could take it a step further on that. So, again, Colts report day coming up a week from Tuesday. And, again, morning practices will be out there for all of those. A couple guest items later this week. James, you and I caught up with Tyrone Tracy Jr. We had on, we're supposed to have him on the end of the show a couple weeks ago. welcome to construction and parking downtown.
That was a funny.
It's a bit of an issue. So we actually recorded with him after the show. Awesome combo with him. He's got a great story, and he's very willing to share it. So we'll play that upcoming at some point this week. Also been trying to get in contact, and I got in contact with him. I need to reach back out. Braden Smith's high school coach. If you look at where Purdue is at right now, even if you look at some mock drafts for 2026, Shane Sumter up there at Westfield has done an awesome job. I always think, kind of looking back on that COVID recruitment and when Braden Smith really emerged. And again, Purdue was one of the very early finders of him. I think Bruce Parkinson, ironically enough, the father of Austin Parkinson, played into that early, high major interest there. So I think that'll be nice from a guest standpoint to have on. And Mark, you're efforting Joey Chestnut, aren't you?
Trying to.
What do you think?
Like fitting two glizzies in my mouth all at once. I'm trying to effort to hit him. How does he do that? I don't understand.
What do you think his recovery is like?
Puking and drinking, probably. Not in that order.
Do you think he takes anything to try to get
I would hope you have Pepto-Bismol at the ready.
Yeah.
Or do you take a laxative? Because there's no way you can keep all that in your body, right?
What do you think the one food he doesn't like? That's a question I have.
Cottage cheese. Anybody who likes cottage cheese is someone who's
looks awful.
Working or living in an assisted living home.
Yeah, is there a food competition where you'd be like, nope, not interested. We'll not do it.
Has he done the St. Elmo shrimp cocktail?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's huge with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's got that. All right, we got a ticket giveaway here to round things out. We'll hit you with a couple other items here. It is the Fan Morning Show on a Monday right here. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. Sounds like the music played when I went to put on my pants this morning and realized where my waistline was.
You need more context than that.
It's the dark fear and realization that I've grown so much over vacation.
Too many Trulies and seltzers.
So when did that start to sink in, KB? Is that on the drive home?
Nah, it was about day 4, and then it's like, well, at this point, I might as well ride it out through day 7, and then we'll see how much salad I can eat. What did you say earlier? Caitlin Clark said she's a couple shots away from finding her shooting stroke again.
Yeah.
Am I a couple salads away from being able to look down and see some items?
I don't know if that works the same, but if it works for you, Kevin, I am with it. I believe in you,
Live
brother.
your best life.
4 pack of tickets to the State Fair to give away. State Fair season upcoming here. So how about a little 317-239-1070? We will give that away right now to Fast Fingers. So always a great time out there. I believe we will do a show out there, along with, of course, being out at Grand Park a whole lot. So we will do that. I also want to give a shout out to Brian Corbin. He helped me out big time. His wildlife control company. I think I told you guys we had a critter up in the soffit of our home.
I don't think you did mention this.
Have you had any issues with this?
No.
Well, I live in an apartment, so I don't have those issues just yet.
Sorry, I guess I should have looked at Mark here. A coon with babies up there. Brian comes out, prompt, got rid of the coon babies right away, put my soffit back. Excellent. They help out the Indy and the Donut County. So shout out to Brian Corbin. If you need his info, DM me. Excellent.
So no more freeloaders at the Bowen household. You got to pay rent to live there.
Amen to that. Amen. Before they were about to live in Rosie Bowen's bed, which probably would have been the end of my life as, her father. And our golf outing, what are we, 3 weeks from Thursday? Does that sound right? August 7th. I know we got British Open week 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 weeks from Thursday, we'll be down at the Legends. Cannot wait, I believe, as long as they have followed through on my request. I've asked for JMV to have a Papa Shot. He needs that. I've asked for Jake Query to be there doing live trivia on a hole, so each group can encounter that. And then I will be on a par 3 to try and help out some groups get it maybe even a little closer to the hole. So we'll be out there coming up down at the Legends in Franklin. It is an early start time, 10 a.m., which I like a lot. So if you still have stuff to get to later in the day or evening, kid-wise, family-wise, you can still get that in as well. So Thursday, August 7th. 1075thefan.com. Your details there for the golf outing. Will you watch any of the British Open this week? I know I tried to get you in on the Masters earlier this year. Are you a British Open? Good. It's good coffee golf viewing.
I am not, but hey, if you give me a couple of, storylines, and really I'll dive back into the golf realm.
We have our final major of the year coming up, Royal Portrush, an outstanding course. They're out in Ireland. Shane Lowry won there about, 5-7 years ago, something like that. That will be your final major of the year. When do we get rolling All-Star Weekend? Really, Thursday in town? Is that what it looks like from an event standpoint? And then Friday, we'll have some practice and their skills competition Friday night?
Yeah, I got a few different events I'll be going to throughout the week, but Thursday is when things get crazy. And so from Thursday through Saturday night, I don't think I'll sleep in total probably more than 10 hours.
And again, reminder, WNBA All-Star Weekend bumped up a day versus what you're used to from an NBA All-Star standpoint. So skill stuff Friday night over at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Game will be Saturday. Team Clark versus Team Collier, and then that will be it.
The city looks cool, though. There's a lot of different posters and stickers, if you want to call
Gatorade,
that. Or
Nike, some huge
like you're
endorsement
seeing
posters.
Some of the biggest stars. It isn't just Caitlin Clark on the Marriott. It is Asia Wilson. It is Breanna Stewart. It is, pretty much the biggest stars in the world in this sport everywhere around the city. So I expect it to get bussin' pretty soon.
I'm still discovering all the street signs. I'm trying to find all the team names. I still haven't found the Fever one, but have you seen how they're doing
No, I haven't noticed it
yet.
So
like the Royal
Rumble. So not the players.
Right, it's a team name. So despite it being Maryland, it's actually New York Liberty Street or whatever. So there's all that going on. So I'm still trying to find the Fever, but similar how they did the Royal Rumble or the Big Ten tournament, there's all specific street teams. Yeah.
So if this is the NBA All-Star Weekend, would we graffiti the Bucks sign?
Maybe. Put in an alley.
33 with an X on it.
I will say this. By default, the WNBA All-Star Weekend logistically might be better than the NBA All-Star Weekend because it doesn't matter what city you hold it in because it's hot. And so I remember when we had the NBA All-Star Weekend, a lot of the biggest complaints
With, like,
was
that freezing rain that first day,
it was
right?
freezing cold. But nope,
Yeah.
those will not be an issue this time of the year.
Mark, did you watch any Wimbledon yesterday?
Not a second. I'm not a big tennis guy, to be quite honest.
Yeah, we were driving back. It was on at the lunch spot that we stopped at. We stopped in Saugatuck, Michigan. Have you ever done like the New Buffalo, Saugatuck, any of that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man,
St. Joe's, love that.
Those cities, just shopping galore.
I know.
And parking in those cities is like me trying to keep off weight over vacation. I mean, it is an ordeal.
Oh, seriously? Wow, I didn't know that.
Beautiful city.
Yeah, there's lots of candy and fudge and everything. And Kevin's waistline is like, yes, please, more of that.
We did Traverse City for a day. Went into the
Traverse City's a
cherry
good time.
store up there. I mean, they had cherry everything. Cherry dipping sauce, cherry ice cream, Sour Patch cherries, all of it. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, you got the lake right there. Beautiful view. It is almost like you're in like Florida or something like that. You're looking around like, this is nice. The beach
I feel like
towns
there's
and
like
all
5 to 7 of those cities all throughout, and hell, there might even be more all throughout northern Michigan. And certainly that Lake Michigan area. But happy to be back. And again, we'll have plenty of content for you all week long. Reminder, Colts report for training camp a week from Tuesday. We're going to be out there with our morning shows. Home Run Derby tonight, 8 o'clock. All-Star game coming up tomorrow. And we'll get into our Jags conversation. Is that right, tomorrow? I think I missed out on the Titans one last week. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Missed a lot of Tony Pollard talk.
We'll continue our tour around the AFC South. If I gave you the Texans to win it or the field in the AFC South, who would you go with?
The Texans.
Yeah, Texans.
Jacksonville's kind of sneaky for me.
They are, but the rest of the field does not give me.
I do think you're one C.J. Stroud injury potentially away from that. Very much thank you to Tony East for joining us back from Vegas. That'll be up on the podcast again. Our big Myles Turner convo happened a little bit earlier in the show. We did some indispensable Colts, all of that up on the pod. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton. It's us three for the next 2 weeks. Jeff is in France. Everybody have a great month.